Boom. Boom. Alright, I think they can hear us, Jason.
Good. Excellent. Hello, chat.
Oh, boy.
Ah,
It's the best Magic set ever since Outlaws of Thunder Junction.
this is so much better than Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I'm not one for the Cowboys, but the little mice people, absolutely, I'm here for them.
I'm a big fan of the Cowboys, not gonna lie. But I have
There's a Super Bowl joke and not finding it, but I'm not gonna find it either. So, either way. Hi, chat. How y'all doing today?
just got back from a 12. This better be good. Godspeed, Gutty. I somehow didn't work a 12 today.
Wolfsbane, can you repeat that? No. Hope y'all are doing great today. We're doing Bloomburrow stuff today because best Magic set of all time. Let's go.
Yep. 100%.
I love this set. If you haven't been here before, it's Zur Scale time. What is Zur Scale? Well, we just do a big tier list of every single one of these commanders on a scale of 1 to 10, talking about it for casual commander. The highest power levels are obviously the 10s. The lowest power levels are the 1s. Technically, there's 0s, but you don't run into those very often. Because they just give you nothing.
It should tell you everything that we don't even put the 0 on the tier list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually commanders give us something to work with. It's not just a vanilla creature. Or actively bad. Best of all time? It's up there. At least for me. I love this set.
This set is definitely up there for me.
Haven't cast a single spell from it yet, but I love it.
I've played against 3 commanders from this so far.
That's true.
I can already say it's the best.
It's definitely good.
Best of the year, at
yeah,
least.
You're right.
Best of the year, at least.
Yeah, I'm having a good time with a lot of the commanders already.
All right, Jason, let's get started.
Going straight into it. Is it Biza time?
It's Biza time.
All right, Biza, the Bounding Spring. 2 white for a 4/5 legendary creature, Elemental Elk. When Biza enters the battlefield, create a treasure token, and an opponent controls more lands than you. You gain 4 life, and an opponent has more life than you. You create 2 1/1 fish creature tokens if an opponent controls more creatures than you, and draw a card if an opponent has more cards in hand than you. ETB for a lot of fine effects.
It is strictly okay effects.
Yeah, honestly, it's a strictly okay commander. This is another one of those flicker commanders where we did not get, like, you want to be flickering your commander, but oftentimes you're going to be flickering other things. Honestly, I would say below average, honestly.
I was going to say, it's either below average or right at average.
Yeah, it gets kind of close to being an average deck, but I think it ends up being a little subpar, just because, like, one of the other things that's really important is, let's say you wanted to build around any of these mechanics, you can't guarantee any of them for being abusable. These nuts jokes outlet? Okay, fair enough.
You know what, just for that, you convinced me.
Put it back on the floor. The inability to actually like guarantee your outcomes is the problem. By the way, I didn't mention it before, but this is literally just 2 weeks after we did our last Zur Scale update, so we're nice and fresh on our ratings.
I hate WotC. What?
Release schedule's way too fast. I just want to check one thing very quickly because we put Felia in here as well, right?
Yeah.
I put Felia as a 6, and that's one of the enablers, and I think that's way better than what Biza's doing.
Enabler is better than a payoff.
Mm-hmm. All right, on to the next one. That was an easy one.
Eluge.
Huge.
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 Huge. Yep, it is huge.
Huge.
The Shoreless Sea, 1 blue for a legendary creature elemental fish. Eulogy. Yeah, sure. Power and toughness are each equal to the number of islands you control. Whenever it enters or attacks, put a flood counter on target land. It's an island in addition to its other types for as long as it has a flood counter on it. The first instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn cost a generic or blue pip less to cast for each land that has a flood counter on it. Oh boy.
Okay. All right, so I actually want to go straight into the EDH rec on this one because there's like 2 key things I'm looking for here. 1, does it high tide? If it's not high tiding...
Okay, we're high tiding.
Okay, we're at 60% high tiding, which we also have Sapphire Medallion in here, which honestly may be unnecessary, but hey, at least it gets you to turn 3 playing this guy, so...
I think just the turn 3 playing is more than enough of an include here.
Yeah. So there's like 2 obvious builds you can do for this, where it's like the kind of just like blue control or blue value ramp commander with my big guy, and maybe we do some island walking if we're lucky, stuff like that.
The blue
which is just kind of like fine. That's honestly I don't know if that's worse than Biza, but it's about the same level as Biza.
I mean, it is.
And then there's High Tide.
It is the Blue Mage's dream. This is literally the Blue Mage's dream, Jason.
True. Yeah. But then the other thing is that there's High Tide.
Then there's High Tide.
And those 2 decks have some overlap, but are not the same thing. But just to mention some of the random things that you get out of this. Yeah, this deck does just let you cast a Blue Sun Zenith for free.
Yep.
That's good. It is letting you cast a lot of really good instants and sorceries for free. If you actually cast Frantic Search for free, you're netting mana while looting through your deck.
Also, it says each turn, which is just insanity.
Oh, it is each turn, huh? With counterspells and...
Yep. Yeah, that's why. Why do you think Counterspell is the most played card in this deck? 'Cause it's literally free.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that changes my perspective on this a little bit, because I wasn't thinking it was that good.
Remember when I said a Blue Mage's wet dream of a commander?
You are right. I was thinking this is a 5. Might be a 6.
It's probably...
I think it has some potential to, it has potential to do the broken stuff, but I don't think it's going to get there very consistently, because we're still in mono blue.
Yep. It's literally being held back by being mono blue.
Yeah. It also, just one big benefit, this is just a big fish.
Big fish.
Big fish.
Also, we gotta get proper art here. Very important.
Well, that art is nice for those Calamity Beasts.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very cool.
I like it. Alright. Next!
Like Quicksilver Fountain in the command zone? Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, pretty much. We got Kitza, Otter Ball Elite.
Just Otter Ball. That's a word now. Anyway.
One in a blue for a 1/3 legendary creature, Otter Wizard, with Vigilance, Prowess. Kitza taps to draw a card, then discards card, and then has 2 and tap for copying target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for The copy, activate only if Kitza's power is 3 or greater.
Eh.
Eh.
I actually want to go into the EDH page again because I have the same question as before. Does it high tide? Oh, look at all this EDH nonsense.
Yeah, we're really trying to make Mono Blue work in CDH, guys. Spoiler
That we
alert,
are.
it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, this is like all very much clearly trying to do CEDH stuff. And I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. Even if you do start doing the high tide stuff, I'm not really impressed here.
Oh, I'm not.
Like
I'm not
it's
impressed by this at all.
It's not the worst. There's probably something cool you can do off of like double merchant scroll into 2-card combo things. It's an Isochron Scepter outlet in the command zone, and you can tutor for both pieces.
Mhm.
If Urza can't do it, this can't. Yes.
Yeah, that's my exact thoughts, Scuddy.
Yeah, like it does technically go infinite with Dramatic Reversal, Isochron Scepter. However, I would also like to point out that so does Rona, so does Vohar, so does a lot of different commanders that give you blue-black to work with, which is just so much better to be in than mono-blue.
Specifically, blue-black, that's also the same exact casting cost, other than...
Right. Yeah, like, the generic mana doesn't matter much here. Bonus point for being an otter, I will give it that. Said...
Bonus point for the name.
Okay, subtract half a point for the name, because what the fuck is an otter ball? What is this? Honestly, 4? Maybe 5?
I
think 4?
I think it's 4.
I feel like you're doing a lot for kind of eh.
You're doing so much to do nothing.
Yeah, it's like, if it didn't have the combos to support with it, it would just not be worth it.
It'd be like a 3 then.
Yeah. Without the combo supporting it. And that's saying, like, hey, multiple 2-card combo pieces, and it's still not that good.
Alright.
A little sad.
Alright, Jason, it's time to be mean to everybody.
Oh boy, we don't want people to have creatures?
No creatures allowed.
Maha. It's Maha. It's Feathers Knight. 3 black for a 6/5 legendary creature elemental bird with flying and trample and ward, discard a card. Creatures your opponents control have base toughness 1. Okay.
Alright, so this should be in 100% of decks. I would be amazed if it's not.
Knight of Soul's Betrayal?
84% for Karavek.
Yep.
Should be 100.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, the smart thing, like, I assume some people don't want to prison people out with their commander. Change the art.
Oh, you're right. Give me a second. There we go.
There you go. Nice little bluebird. Anyway, back to the EDH page. Yeah, so we're just playing kill opponents' creatures.decks. These work okay.
Yeah. They are...
Why you wouldn't prison your opponents? Because some people don't feel like playing the full prison effect is nice to people, but I'm like, if you're playing this as your commander, why wouldn't you? It feels like the goal.
That's what you should be doing.
Yeah. So I don't see why people wouldn't do it, but I understand why they wouldn't. I disagree.
Like, you have no other payoffs other than just being the prison deck. Just embrace the struggle. Yeah.
The whole point of this deck is just to give all your opponent's creatures -1/-1 permanently, or do it repeatedly on and on. You get black tutors as well, so you're able to do stuff very quickly. It's mono black devotion, which is arguably the best devotion shell to work with, so this is good. It is solid. I would say given the regular confines of what normal, like, casual EDH is doing, it's probably a 6.
It's probably a 6.
Yeah, I think it just gets there, because it's like, you do just repeatedly board wipe everyone.
Yep.
And you are just killing them with a 6/5 flyer. That's the thing that astonishes me the most of this. Double evasion 6/5 on a mono black creature, and it's not a demon?
Yep. It's a bird.
hits a bird.
Also,
yeah, I think it ekes.
Also, Jason, can we just talk about how 3 double black is just constantly spawning the most annoying black creatures known to man?
I welcome it. Why pay 3 every few turns for golden demise when you can just pay 4 or 5 and keep the effect permanently? I mean, Sharky, that is what you should do if you're going to be building the deck optimally. But some people aren't trying to build the deck optimally because they view it as unfun for the table. But then again, the commander is innately kind of unfun for a certain group of players. So just lean in.
You play this into the walls player and they cry.
Yeah. Like, every green player just looks at this and goes, I have nothing. And that's the goal.
Yep. Pretty good.
Anyway.
Pretty good. Anyways, we finally get to do the stupid bear that keeps getting recommended to me by EDH for all my green decks.
We'll do that one, but there is a red one. We do have a red creature.
I skipped over red? Ah, I did.
Yes.
Nice.
Anyway, green creature. Alright, so this one is Lumra, Bellow of the Wild. 4 green for a star legendary creature elemental bear with vigilance and reach. Lumra has power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control, and when Lumra enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards. Then return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
Also, for reference, for Zoomers and Magic Zoomers in the future, when it says enters, we're going to say it as enters the battlefield because we've been ingrained by 12 years of playing this game for it to be enters the battlefield.
Yeah. It's ETB. So it's green land, mill, ramp stuff. It's fine.
It's okay. It's strictly just like 4 or 5. Probably 5.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for to do our due diligence, I would, and also because we can refresh on some of the other stuff. So, for example, Multani Yavimaya's avatar is something that we have as a 3. Which maybe we can bump that to a 4.
That goes up to a 4.
Yeah, I think it's okay to put that one to a 4.
Unfortunately, all these new cards here kind of help out any mono green lands strategy.
That's true. Mono green lands has gotten a fair bit better, and specifically the land, lands to graveyard build of it. I do think it is a little weird because Lumra's not Lumra only puts 4 cards into your graveyard once, but then it does the big land reanimation effect, right, to get your Field of the Dead effects going if you want to, which is a little hard to do in mono green, but it's very doable. It's a decent shell, but there's just so many better ways to do this, while at the same time keeping in context of what other decks are doing. Do we feel like this is just innately more powerful than what Biza is doing if we get Biza on an engine? Because we can't really get Lumra on an engine.
No. And that's why I have it rated as a 4.
Yeah. So I think that's perfectly fine. 4 is good with me.
Alright, here's the bird the bird dragon that I forgot.
Yeah, bird dragon.
Dragon Hawk, Fate's Tempest. 3 red. For a 5/5 legendary creature, bird dragon. Dragon Hawk, I would be shocked if it didn't have flying. Whenever Dragon Hawk enters or attacks, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 4 or greater. You may play those cards until your next end step. At the beginning of your next end step, Dragon Hawk deals 2 damage to each opponent for each of those cards that are still in exile.
So, the 4 power thing is not the easiest thing to do in red, particularly given that red is not a color that works well with 1/1 counters, for example. Oh yeah, that looks nice. But also, red-green is typically the archetype that gets 4 power matters stuff. So it's not like we're lacking for 4 power things to go deep on this. This is an ETB and attacks trigger, so if we give haste, we can, immediately this comes down in, let's say we don't even get to cast the spells, we just deal 4 damage to the opponents. And you're rewarded for leaving things in exile, so you don't have to feel bad about losing your stuff, because you are just ending the game. This just feels nice. Like,
Yeah.
not broken.
It's
not,
just good. Just solid.
Yeah, just a solid, like, yeah, I was going to say probably about a 5. There is potential that this is higher than a 5, but at 5 mana, I think that's about right for it to say it is a 5. You can play it as just dragons. You can play it as just 4 power stuff. It's pretty good. I'd be interested in seeing an actual game with this one, because I do have a feeling that, like, this is one of those cards where if I leave it in play for 3 turns or something like that, I feel like the game is over. So, which, a 3-turn threshold for ending the game on a mono red commander feels pretty decent to me. It's just a 5 mana starting point's a little awkward.
Yeah, and then I look at this card and I'm like, oh, that goes in that deck. Oh, it goes in that deck. My EDH player brain just neurons activates on this card.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm very happy that leak this was real, because I was just sitting there like, I have been looking for 5 mana cost spells that I would like to play in my Kalia deck. This is a real good one for Kalia. Please let me have this. Dragonstorm comboing. What about the Sarkhan enchantment that cares about power? Sarkhan's Unsealing. I mean, yeah, this is a decent Sarkhan's Unsealing deck. You can. I would certainly be willing to put Sarkhan's Unsealing in the deck. If I remember correctly, Sarkhan's Unsealing is 4 mana to do its thing, and then you have to go anything that's 4 through 6 power. You deal 4 damage to any target or target creature, one of the two.
I think it's any target. Should be any target.
Yeah, I just found it. Yeah, it's any target. And then that's 7 power or greater. It's 4 damage to each opponent, their creature and planeswalker they control. Each opponent, each creature, and planeswalker.
And planeswalker.
And planeswalker they control. Okay, so the wording there is a little bit weird. So yes, it is one-sided. It doesn't affect your own creatures. Yeah, seems good.
All right, Jason. They finally did it. We have an actual bird commander that Matt wants to play!
That's what I'm talking about.
I would play the bird up clip, but YouTube's gonna immediately take that down.
Alright. So, this is Kastral the Wind-Crested. 3 white and a blue for a 4/5 legendary creature, bird scout with flying. Whenever one or more birds you control deal combat damage to a player, choose one. You may put a bird creature card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Put a 1/1 counter on each bird you control, or draw a card. So, very important, this says to a player, which means this scales up to the number of players in a game.
Hey, so I heard everybody knows how good Professional Facebreaker is.
What if we just drew the card?
What if we instead just drew 2 and then put a bird from our hand onto the battlefield without paying mana cost?
Okay. I do feel I must do my due diligence on this very quickly. Go through the EDH page and just talk about some stuff. I'm going to look for every bird with mana value 1 through mana value 3 or less, because that's really what I want to focus on. Of how good do I feel like the core of this deck is?
Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's bad, Jason. Although it's gotten significantly better because we have had 3 or 4 really insane birds printed here recently. But
I mean, we do just get a Shreddy Boy.
Mm-hmm. We do also get Aven Interrupter.
That's real good. And Aven Mind Sensor. It's on theme to play Aven Mind Sensor in a deck.
Yep. We get Ishai. We get the Murder Bird, Jason!
That's true. We do get Ishai.
Yeah.
So, I guess I should say that at our 3 cost, we're actually doing pretty decent. How's our 1 cost? I don't think we're going to have too many... And I'm not saying that deck is make or break based on the number of 1 mana value birds, but do I have good ones I'm happy to play? Right? Like, I can play Battlefield Raptor, which is a 1 mana, it's a 1/2 flying first strike. That's okay. I don't hate it. Carrier Strix.
I'm playing Healer's Hawk. It's happening.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's honestly reasonable.
Yeah.
What's the secondary type on this guy? Scout? Scout.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of one-costed birds that you're cool with. Judge's Familiar is probably your favorite one to play here.
Bird. I forgot Shabraz was a bird.
That it is. That is one of the big birds. Judge's Familiar, yep.
I think we have just enough.
Maybe.
We have just enough good birds. I think I can assemble a deck of 22 good birds to where this is great.
At least say 22 passable birds, right? Like, birds as a creature type, not great, but we have a surprising number of good enough ones. And good enough is all you really need to make a deck like this function.
Yep.
Does this go above average?
I actually, just because of cheating mana cost, probably.
Okay.
It says either draw 3, draw 2, cheat 1 mana cost, or put 1/1 counters on all your shitter birds.
That's true. I do really like I know Kelvin mentioned here, like, oh, I'd play it with Solemnity, and I'm assuming that's because of the finality counter stuff on it, but honestly, I don't care about the finality counter. I'm just sitting there going, hey, that's 3 1/1 counters on each bird every turn. You know? That kills people really fast, considering they all have evasion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you can get this to a 6. I do think birds a little mad, but 3 counters a turn kills people. Or 3 cards a turn kills people.
Turns up when
you just get to attack, so long as you're snowballing and protecting your stuff, which, blue and white. Wow, protecting your stuff.
So difficult there.
Yeah, I think you can make this work just fine. Alright, rat time.
Rat. Vren the Restless. 2 and Demir for a 3/4 legendary creature, Rat Rogue, with Ward 2. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. At the beginning of each end-step, create X 1/1 black rat creature tokens. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each rat you control, where X is the number of creatures your opponents control that were exiled this turn.
Mm-hmm.
It's just good. Like, it's genuinely just pretty good.
I mean, this one is each end-step, yeah. So you can do instant speed stuff. Oh, you have to do it in the second. You would have to declare second main phase so that you actually get your trigger on the end step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, these little shitters scale so insanely fast.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Namada and just how annoying Namada has been to play against. I think we have Namada at a 4 or 5. I'm going to double check that to be sure.
Should be a
we have Namada at 3. It can definitely bump up to
it. It can go to a 4.
Yeah, I think Namada can get there. It's been surprisingly good. Just being able to scale in that way, and this is a lot. It's worse in some ways, better in other ways, because like rats as a card type compared to saprolings. Honestly, I don't know which one's better. They're both kind of bad.
They're both pretty bad, but
not being in green in favor of blue here, which blue's not really adding that much.
But you could also just play this as the Relentless Rat special that cares about killing my opponent's creatures.
Right. Rats plus murder. It's fine. Like, I don't know. I honestly don't know if Relentless Rats / Rat Colony would actually be better than the alternatives. I
mean, it's probably.
I do think it is at least.
I think
it's not particular. It's at least a 5. I think that's fine. It's whether or not it's higher than that, and I don't think it is. I think this carries it. I do think one of the small important details, not like super important, but it is important enough to mention, is that the trigger is where X is the number of creatures your opponents controlled that were exiled this turn. That does not mean that they had to have died and exiled due to Vren's trigger. You could actually, like, if your opponent flickered something, or you flickered their board or something, you would get a bunch of rats.
Or if your opponent is being a degenerate and playing food chain.
Yeah, that's true. If your opponent food chains, you just get lethal threats at the end of it. Which is niche. It's really niche. But that's a nice little angle of the deck to explore.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
5 feels fine. I think it is holding up what the archetype is offering it.
All right. Give time?
Give.
It's give time, right?
Give time. I love Give.
Give is great. Look
Hello.
at him.
Say hello to my best friend.
He's so cute.
This is Give scaled score. It is Rakdos for a 3/2 legendary creature, lizard mercenary with ward, pay 2 life. Other creatures you control enter the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on them for each opponent who lost life this turn, and whenever you cast a lizard spell, Gev deals 1 damage to target opponent. Okay. Friends. Let me explain the beauty of this commander. This lizard is kind of broken. Gutty, yes and no. So I'll explain. And yes, or with Viashino now being eroded into being lizards, you get a lot more options. However, okay, so this is one of the commanders I've actually already brewed. And I found pretty quickly that there were not that many lizards I wanted to play. When I think I put the deck together, I think I put in like 12 or 13 lizards.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's a sneaky thing you get to do with this deck, which is this boy's a mercenary. In other words, this is an outlaw for Jasper Flint. You can build this deck as a pseudo outlaws deck as well, and weirdly enough, almost every single lizard I put into the deck was also an outlaw. Just, it was good as an outlaw. So, you have a lot of weird angles you can take this. Obviously, you can play this as just lizards.beats. If you play this as lizards.beats, it's the worst way of playing the deck. I'm sorry, but at the same time, I think it's actually respectable. It'd be like a 4 if you're just playing lizards and nothing but lizards.
However,
when you upgrade it and you move away from just lizards, all right, now you have outlaws to work with.
and then
The outlaws component gives you some interesting things to play with, where you're willing to do a few more things. There was one lizard in particular that I was very impressed with, which was Hellspur Posse Boss. It's 2 red for... it's a lizard rogue that ETBs and makes you 2 mercenaries and gives all of your other mercenaries haste.
Yep.
This thing was really relevant, because if you had already dealt the damage, that gave you 3 bodies with haste. Although it was a little bit awkward, because if you dealt your damage already and then these came into play.
Trekkie has said outlaws are cool, but I think Watsy really fumbled by not giving it the typing lizard wizard.
The typing exists on other cards. Moving on. Stormfist Crusader was a really weirdly relevant card because you want to deal the damage on your turn. Just random, like, tap pingers. But then we get to the best part of this, right? Okay, so I mentioned before how outlaws are kind of relevant. Murderous Redcap.
Yep. Is an outlaw.
Murderous Redcap is an outlaw. So, 2 hybrid red, black for a 2/2 Goblin Assassin. When Murderous Redcap enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its power to any target and persist. Persist meaning when it dies, it comes back with a -1/-1 counter on it, so long as it didn't have a -1/-1 counter. Gev, my boy, you don't care where the creature came from. You put counters on it.
Yep.
Oh my god! Gev is an insane persist commander.
Yep.
You just need to deal 1 damage to one of your opponents before you decide to do... they just have to lose life. And if you're doing a persist deck, you're doing a sacrifice deck, which means Blood Artist, and Importantly, Zulaport Cutthroat, another outlaw, works here. So,
It's just good, Jason. Just say that it's good.
It's just good. Have I sold you on Gev yet? I love this little lizard. Unfortunately, this is, like, by definition, a split rating for me.
By definition, it's average.
Yes. Split rating, it's about a 5-7 for me.
Yep.
So, if you're playing this as an average deck with just lizards and keeping in mind all the other stuff, yeah, it's about a 5. If you do the more powerful combo-related things, it's a 5, maybe even pushing an 8. That's how good Gev is.
You mean a 7, maybe pushing an 8. Because you said 5 again.
Oh, sorry. 7 pushing 8.
Yep.
And weirdly flexible. Like, why is the lizard so flexible?
Yeah, then you've got me, who's just like, you know what? Lizards? Kind of bad. Let's just full on go Pain Train. Just 1/1 counters, persist, screw the lizards, we don't need them here.
Yes. Yes.
Like, we don't need them here, we don't need them where we're going. And,
Alright.
Yeah. You can do some dumb things with Gev.
Yeah, I thumbs up. Love the lizard.
All right, Jason.
Would actually build this deck.
We've got our new hot meme commander.
Who we got?
The infamous Cruelclaw.
Oh yeah.
Also known as 97 Lands and Worldfire. Let's go, boys.
Fucking Cruelclaw. I love this commander. Alright, so this is 1 in Rakdos for a 3/3 legendary creature, Weasel Mercenary. God, I love this. Just love the creature types in this set. It's got Menace. Whenever Cruelclaw deals combat damage to a player, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by discarding a card rather than paying its mana cost. Oh, well, I actually find it funny. 44% of the decks are playing Worldfire. All right, so this is lottery.deck. It's you can do some top deck manipulation to get some really powerful stuff, but realistically, it's lottery.deck, right?
Luckily, our lottery hits have been quite insane as of recent.
Yeah, there's a lot of decent, like, big stuff that you can hit for this. Definitely need to do top deck manipulation, which is a little difficult. Unless you play with tutors, which...
Cringe.
You know. Correct. Yeah, like, it is objectively correct to play Vampiric Tutor and Imperial Seal in this deck. And even, like, I would go so far as to say that you can get away with Scheming Symmetry.
Yep.
You just should play those cards in this deck. And you should just play a lot of, like, cheap spells that enable getting Cruelclaw out and maybe give haste, and then you just play a whole bunch of big things to hit. So I haven't played against this one yet.
I haven't either, but I mean, I've played against other lottery decks.
Yeah, I think realistically, if you were objective power level assumption, people are playing to win. They're making some decent plays overall, right? Not always objectively correct, but they're trying. The deck's probably like a 3, honestly.
Yeah, well,
because, like, you really gotta get lucky, and it's hard to do that.
My thing is, it connects pretty easily.
It connects the first time easily. It does not connect the second time easily.
With lottery decks, half the time you just have to hit once. So, I don't think it's a 3, I think it's a 4. It can't be average by the nature of lottery decks.
I don't even know if it gets to the 4, honestly. Like, it's just so inconsistent.
But like I said, the hits have just gotten so good, and that's why I wanted it at a 4.
But one hit's very easy to answer, right? We're talking about the hits in Rakdos. You know, for example, this is a commander where one board wipe and you're out of the game, right? I'm not impressed, and I do appreciate the meme with Worldfire to an extent. I just don't think it gets to be above a 3, even though in my heart this is a 10. It's just this is a 3 objectively.
I still think it's a 4, just
Plays nice with
personally.
Vargoth. It does play nice with Vargoth, that's true. If you can guarantee your trigger and then you can do the Vargoth in response. Or no, is Vargoth the sorcery speed activation? I can't remember.
It should be boast activated only as a sorcery.
Yeah, I believe Vargoth is only as a sorcery, which means this is not actually very good with Vargoth. No, it's only once each turn. It doesn't have a sorcery speed restriction on this one. Okay.
Then yeah.
Okay, maybe that's actually enough to pump it up. Like, unironically, that might just be enough, because that's pretty decent on the consistency side of things.
Also, we've gotten enough good unblockable things.
Yeah.
We now have just enough good unblockable things with Brotherhood Regalia being a card in Magic.
Yeah. Alright, sorry. Just putting in a note that this might actually be a 3. Just to get that figured out. Okay. Are we ready to spend half an hour on Gruul decks?
No, but you're to start us, Jason.
Here we are. Hey, at least it's all raccoons, and I love raccoons. So, have you realized that this set just has a bunch of animals that I really like in it? It's Bellow, Bard of the Brambles. 1 red-green for a 3/3 legendary creature raccoon bard. During your turn, each non-equipment, artifact, and non-aura enchantment you control with mana value 4 or greater is a 4/4 elemental creature in addition to its other types, has indestructible haste, and when this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card.
Alright. We Unga Bunga our Enchantress now.
We do, in fact, Unga Bunga the junk.
Oh.
I just... honestly, I really like this commander. One of the things that I can't forget as well is, like, hey, casually mentioning that this commander makes all your things indestructible, so... you know, they do just kind of get in there.
Yep.
There is no risk to just swing. It's a commander where you can just, you know, instead of ramping into the commander, because a 3-drop commander who really cares about ramping into that, you can ramp into your big impactful spells and then go, okay, well now here's my commander overrun.
We don't play a single other creature. We just play enchantments. Have fun, everybody.
I do find it a little funny that they're so deep on the Enchantress side of things, which, to be fair, that is probably the best way to play this. I wouldn't count out equipment yet, but, yeah. There's not a whole lot of equipment that just does something when it sits in play, not attached to anything, right? Or, well, no, this one's non-equipment, right? Non-equipment artifacts?
Non-equipment.
Yeah, non-equipment. So...
the Immortal,
yeah,
that's a pretty good beater.
Green artifacts aren't bad, but...
I don't know, I'm looking at 3 really disgusting ones here.
I forgot about vehicles. This is a vehicles commander as well, huh?
Yep.
I know that makes it better, but it does make me hate it just that little bit more.
Oh, I hadn't looked at the price of this card.
Oh, feeling bad yet?
Oh.
Yeah, the One Ring being $150.
Oh.
Man. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you just play a bunch of mana rocks as well, so you don't even have to do mana dorks if you don't like risking your mana dorks to things, which...
the only thing that makes you cry is a one singular Bane of Progress?
You... Mm-hmm. Well, at least you can play it on your turn.
Yeah, you can. You can play the Bane of Progress on your turn and make everybody else cry.
That is a one-sided thing, which actually, like, legitimately, that is a reasonable niche that I wouldn't be surprised if you put into your deck for that. So telegraphed is my only problem. Yeah, I agree. It's very telegraphed. That said, like,
6?
Void is pretty telegraphed, and it just kills you. Right? Like, telegraph doesn't mean it's bad. I honestly almost want to say it's a 7 because I have hope here, but I think 6 is also very reasonable.
6
Just
is the
because
safe bet.
6 is the safe bet. I do lean a little more towards 7 potentially. I must also acknowledge that my love of Trash Pandas runs deep, so like trying to not be too biased. Yeah, 7's definitely possible. 6 is definitely safe. We have very good grouping of these commanders out the gate. Just saying. I'm cool with this. Also, it has all the support at once. Like these are just good.
Every single enchantment that I saw in its like top played cards
Mhm.
is all stuff I'm already playing in Gruul, and I'm just not punished for putting these in instead of creatures that do the same thing, which
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah, honestly, like all this feels pretty good. It also specifies non-aura, right?
Yes.
It does not specify non-creature. So your enchantment creatures also just get a buff to this. Some of them might get a little smaller, like Nyx Bloom Ancient, if you're playing that in your deck, but like you don't need Nyx Bloom in this deck.
Sanctum Weaver gets insane.
We found the deck that breaks Mike and Platis. Hello.
Heyo.
Yeah, that's cool. That's okay. That's legitimately fun. I think that's really cool. I would 100% be down to play like a Mike and Lattice build of this commander at some point. That'd be sick to do.
Just, I like everything it's doing.
Well, we can go on to a commander that we don't love everything it's doing.
I do love him. I do love his art though. He's
Good
just
old
a big.
Hugs.
He's just a big guy.
He's just a dude.
Got Hugs Grizzly Guardian here, guys. X red green for a 5/5 legendary creature Badger Warrior. Hugs has trample. When Hugs Grizzly Guardian enters, exile the top X card of your library until end of your next turn. You may play those cards, and then you can play an additional land on each of your turns.
It's fine.
Eh.
It's a serviceable commander. I will be honest. I actually really like this card more for standard than I do for commander, because I actually think this card gets a lot better in multiples.
Yes.
But
considering you can reset the extra lands that you play each turn.
Yeah. So I don't love doing strict 1-for-1 comparisons of commanders, because it doesn't help a lot. But I do want to compare to Mina and Den Wildborn, because it is Mina and Den Wildborn is a 4 mana 4/4 legendary creature elf ally. You may play an additional land on each of your turns, and you may pay red and a green, return a land you control to its owner's hand to give target creature trample until end of turn. The line of text of you may play an additional land on each of your turns is okay.
Yep.
It's not great. You need something else to support it. And Hugs gives you a 5/5 trampling body to go alongside it, which is okay, not great. And then we have this whole big, spend a lot of extra mana, do stuff in the late game. I do think Hugs has a nice benefit of board wipe protection, which makes this better than Mina and Den for me.
Mm-hmm.
But not a lot better, because Mina and Den at least gives you, like, if you're building a landfall-centric deck, Mina and Den gives you multiple landfall triggers in a turn, every turn, if you need it. You can't see this anything outside of food chain, which is true as well. Hugs is a good food chain commander. Red-green is a good color combination for food chain because you get 2 outlets for it, you get 2 cards for it, and this exiles your whole deck, so you can be able to play your whole deck. However, I will say that it only enables you to play creatures, which means you have to make your win con a creature. Food chain requires the mana to only be spent on creature spells, so that is a restriction here. You can't just fireball your opponents. Well, you can, because your win con is Walking Ballista, but it gives me a whole lot of Hugs is somewhere between 4 and 5 for me, and I'm not sure where.
I think I'm gonna put him on a 4. It's just because I'm so unimpressed by Mina and Den, and this is just slightly better Mina and Den.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Mina and Den we had put at a 3, which is probably a fair assessment.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a 4, but Yeah, that's part of the reason why I think like Hugs may be a 5, but it's...
But, like, this first line of text here... God, Jason, I have to pay 6 mana for this to be okay. Because it's draw 2 cards plus a 5/5. It's not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and we haven't, like, we didn't deeply explore it looking through it, but, like, the Cast from Exile stuff, it is there. It's just not great, and it's not that much better than just playing dedicated ramp, right?
Yep.
Said we should exiled cards equal to the mana spent to cast it. That would be reasonable if it was in the Commander product, but since it's in the Standard product, that wouldn't fly.
Yeah,
so
that absolutely can't fly.
Yeah, unless you cast it that turn, in which case it's just like, hey, 4 mana, exile the top 4 cards of your deck, and then you have a 5/5. It's like, okay, cool.
Seems insane for the limited.
Mm-hmm. All
right.
On to the next one.
Trash Panda.
More trash.
More trash.
All right. It is Moera, Trash Tactician. 1 red-green for a 2/4 legendary creature, Raccoon Warrior. At the beginning of your first main phase, add 1 red and 1 red or green for each raccoon you control. Whenever you expend 4, you gain 3 life, and expending in this case is the expend 4 means the 4th mana you have cast on spells this turn. And then whenever you expend 8, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. I love this card, actually. Like, I think this is genuinely just a good card.
I think this is genuinely just a good card. It's a little iffy. 8 mana is still quite a bit, even though it does add red-green.
Sure.
It's just...
and it also wants you to play a lot of raccoons, which, boy, can I tell you that raccoons, as much as I love them, not the best creature type in Magic.
And that was going to be my main issue with it.
Yeah. Getting there is a little tough. And, you know, but food chain. Yes, you can food chain with this commander, and it's actually reasonable as well. It's not great, it's just reasonable. My big thing on Moera is this. We have compacted both the enabler plus the payoff, right? Because this is a commander where you just keep building up every turn, right? Yeah. We can't guarantee that the 2 cards that you're going to get are going to be things that you can always play, but here's the thing. If you hit 2 cards, right, plus the card you draw for your turn, and you are a dedicated ramp strategy, you're more than likely going to be able to expend 8 on the next turn. So you just keep fueling her. It just keeps getting better and better and better. So, I mean, I can't hate this. I can't say this is bad.
Yeah.
Because even without any other raccoons in the deck, right, in just a dedicated ramp deck where your commander makes 1 mana every turn, once you get to 8, you are really, really churning through the deck. Going back to the kicker thing real quick, Bear Rolls was worded with its regular product carry, not justifying, just clarifying. Sure. Chucky, the unrelated thing I dislike the most about Bloomburrow is seeing all these random cards as tribes getting support, but skeletons still have no dedicated commander. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, I think it's just...
For what it's worth.
Okay, so where do we have...
They did technically get one with Gisa the Hellraiser, because she gives them to skeletons as well, doesn't she?
Yeah, it should be zombies and skeletons get +1/+1 in Menache.
So technically you have it. Playing Grinning Ignis a bunch and you get just a bunch of mana? Yeah. Actually, Grinning Ignis, you can start enabling this from turn 4?
4.
You get your 5th mana, that. Yeah, no, from turn 4.
Mm-hmm.
You can have this commander online completely with Grinning Ignis. That's actually a really nice tech piece, and I'm actually now really curious how many people are playing it. This commander only has 60 decks, by the way, or only has 80 decks, by the way. So this is a very unpopular commander by comparison to some of the other things in the set. One player has figured out the tech.
Mm-hmm. Still waiting for.
This person's.
Look, Kelvin. Me and Jason are both waiting for Brushwag Tribal. Okay. That's the day me and Jason both quit playing Magic because we just can't surpass it.
We teach. Also, I just want to point out that the one person who did figure out the whole Grinning Ignis tech, which, seriously, by the way, who said that? Because that's really, really good tech. They are playing a creature-based Storm deck with this, which is spicy. I like the options here. I genuinely think this commander is good. Like, honestly, maybe even above average.
I think it hits
a 6.
I think it's a 6.
Like, it is asking a fair bit of you. But
gonna go buy a brick.
Yeah, actually, like, pick one up for me while you're at it.
yeah, give me one.
Okay, so the only issue with this commander is that it does not have enough raccoons.
Yep.
Like, let's just clarify this.
That is strictly the only thing holding this back from being like an 8.
Yeah.
All right,
you
Jason.
really don't need many raccoons in this deck.
As Wolfsbane has pointed out, the raccoons we do have are good. It's just we don't have that many of them.
I mean, okay, well, all right. Just for clarification, I guess I will do slight due diligence here, even though I don't think it's entirely necessary. Type raccoon. How many raccoons are there in the entirety of Magic? There are 22. All of which are legal for us to play.
Good.
Oh, no, that's not true. We can't play one of them. We cannot play Cabaretti Initiate, which actually makes me really, really sad because that's the raccoon that's just holding 2 broken glass bottles like, come at me. Goated art from New Capenna. We can't play Mass Bandits either, so we can play 20 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be content, just looking at it quickly, I'd be content to play about 8 of them. Because there's some not good ones in here. There's definitely some not good ones in here. But yeah, I'd play potentially 8 of these raccoons. Alright. Last rule commander? Right?
Wildsear Scouring Maha. 3 in Gruel for a 6/6 legendary creature elemental wolf. Wildsear has trample. Enchantment spells you cast from your hand have cascade. It's simple, yet effective.
I'll be real with you. It's really simple. It is actually quite good.
Yeah.
This is also absolutely a plant for the Duskmourn, because we're going to have all those enchantment creatures in Duskmourn.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is a commander that is immediately, it's going to get better. Which now I didn't even think about that. With our other commander who cares about the enchantments, it doesn't matter if they're creatures, we can make all of our we're going to have more enchantment creatures, so that's an immediate improvement for that one as well.
Yep.
Good to know. It's fine.
It's an average deck. It actually is probably slightly above average, because Cascading is very powerful.
Cascade is good. It is just pile of stuff. It's 5 mana to start out with, but then you just immediately cast any enchantment on the following turn, you feel pretty good, and it's not limited to once a turn.
Yep.
And boy, are red-green enchantments pretty good at ramping.
They're good at ramping,
What's-
and they're good at dealing damage to your opponents. So
Yeah, we also just got a whole bunch of frogs that are good at returning creatures to your hand.
Yep.
So, like, the enchantment creatures are now, like, that angle of the deck is actually more viable than it used to be. Not saying that it's perfect, but it's more viable.
Yeah. Just
I can't argue against a 6. It honestly, maybe even a 7, but,
if this is a 7, I want the other one to go to a 7 too.
I mean, I'm not going to argue against that.
Like, genuinely, I think that they're both about equal power level.
Yeah, it's... I would be more in favor of putting them both at 7s than leaving them both at 6s. Honestly. I think these are genuinely good Cruel commanders.
Also,
I will make the adjustment.
It makes it to where we don't have to adjust them later.
Right. They're going to get... Yeah, like, they're going to go up a little bit more later, and I think they will... These are two commanders who will actively benefit from it more than some of the other decks. Who's the other one we put up? This is Bellow. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Landing abundant growth and getting a hit a suspend spell. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is a genuine thing you get to do. There's not a ton of 0 mana suspend spells that we want to cast because, like, we're not using Gaia's Will with this deck. So it's basically the wheel primarily. But this is a good deck to hit the wheel with. Like, just refueling.
Yep. I just think it's good. Like,
no complaints. Not the most impressed with it, or rather I should say, it's not like the most exciting thing, it's just, it's good.
Alright, Jason. It's time for the Wascally Wabbits.
Wabbit. Hey, it's Burke. Or Burke. I don't know. Long ear of the law. Poor green. This set's gonna break me, man. 4 green and a white for a legendary creature, Rabbit Soldier. It's a 4/4. Vigilance. When Burke enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it attacks, double the number of 1/1 counters on it. Okinika, how you are not.
No.
This is...
However,
fine.
It's still probably a 6 or 7 just because the Zinnia 1/1 counter core is so good.
I think it's probably more of a 5, honestly. I mean, hang on, what's the condition again? Okay, controls, attacks. It just has to attack.
Yeah.
If we didn't get just like a million adapt things right now.
As somebody who is currently testing a Naya 1/1 counters deck, who won entirely without ever having a red pip, because the Selesnya core is so good. Yeah.
I'd still lean a little more towards 5. I'm not, like, super opposed or anything. It's just... I just don't see it as above average. Like, it's okay. To be fair, like, the direct comparison to Okinika How. Okinika How is somebody we put as, what, a 9 on Zur Scale before?
7, 8.
Oh, we did 7/8.
Yeah.
It should be like an 8 because Okinika How's busted. Yeah. I don't know. 6 mana is also a lot.
6 mana is a lot.
The one counters are pretty decent at getting to that mana, though.
They're decent at getting that mana, and also you could probably not cast your commander and still make a significant impact on the game.
Yeah,
so
that's true. And so if we're talking about, like, with Lysel Master Chef, for example, I think Lysel Master Chef is a better deck than this.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down earlier, and I think that Lysel Master Chef would be around probably around a 6 for me. 6 pushing 7, depending on how you have it built. And yes, you can do the Evolution Witness / Brute Scale / Scurry Oak stuff. You can do all of that. And that's just something, but that's like all the 1/1 counter decks have gotten that right. So what is this one particularly benefiting from it? I will acknowledge, though, that it's this one is good at putting a 1/1 counter on each thing every turn, so long as it's willing to attack.
Which eventually they do just get willing to attack.
Yeah, the creatures themselves are often willing to attack because you can just double in the counters, right? If you start with, let's say, a reasonable number of counters of 2 to start with, and you just double up. Now you have 4 counters plus whatever your base power is. Let's just assume it's 2. That's a 6/6 swing in, so that's not dying too easily. Man, is that above average? Oh. I'm not impressed by the card, but it may be above average. You may be right on that.
Like I said, the core of the deck's just that good.
Alright, put it in a 6.
I know you hate to admit it, but the core of the deck is literally just that good.
Yeah, I mean...
We finally hit that convergence point with 1/1 counters.
Yeah, there may be to... I need to play... I've been thinking for about 7-8 months at this point that I need to play a 1/1 counters deck on the channel again. I haven't played 1/1 counters on the channel since I played that Helena and Elena deck that I think was a patron deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I need to give that a shot.
I'm, like I said, currently playtesting one, but that's a for Vegas deck, so...
Fair enough. Alright. Well, this one's a lot worse for 1/1 counters.
It's significantly worse.
Even though 2 mana. So, Phineas, Ace Archer. Green and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature, Rabbit Archer, with Vigilance and Reach. Whenever Phineas attacks, put a 1/1 counter on each other creature you control that's a token or a rabbit. Then, if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater, draw a card. It is okay. The problem is that you cannot protect your commander worth a damn.
Nope.
You have to dedicate a lot of resources to protecting Phineas, and also, like, worth noting, rabbits themselves are not a very strong creature type. Like, I was talking some shit on the raccoons despite loving them. I like rabbits as well, but not in Magic nearly as much. Rabbits are just, like, very Like, due diligence time, how many rabbits are there?
Not enough for it to matter.
I'm just curious. There are 23 rabbits in total.
There's the bunny corn, Jason. Your favorite card.
We do get the Regal Bonycorn, and I do really like that. I do like Mono White Tarmogoyf. That one's pretty good. But yeah, this is like... Yeah, you just want to be playing tokens for the most part. The rabbits side of things is lacking.
It's pretty not good.
Yeah. You do make a lot of rabbits tokens at this point, though, that's kind of nice. Jacked Rabbit really helps with that, for example. The Offspring stuff is helpful as well. But I think fundamentally...
Not there.
Yeah, it's the token shell without being able to protect. It's probably about a 4 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not the worst, but it's okay. It does something decent.
All right, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Why is she so eepy? This is the only art for this commander, by the way. There is no other art.
You are going to break me. Alright, Zoraline. Cosmos Caller. 1 black-white for a 3/3 legendary creature, Bat Cleric. With Flying, Vigilance, whenever a bat you control attacks, you gain 1 life, and whenever Zoraline enters or attacks, you may pay black-white and 2 life. When you do, return target non-land permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Fun fact, you can return the Solemnity. Yes. Okay. I don't love this card. I'll be real with Chief. This is one of those ones that I really need to see in action to see how good it is, because paying black-white is actually a pretty significant cost.
It's an extreme cost.
Because we have to do enough to get our things into the graveyard that we want to reanimate. Which, to be fair, we've gotten new cards like Ripples of Undeath. That's really helpful at getting to that. But black-white's not, the best for looting. It's not the best for getting your stuff into your graveyard. And so you have to self-mill in many ways. Which we can do it. We certainly can. I'm not sure how much I care about the bats you control attacking to gain a life side of this deck.
It only matters because it makes it cost 1 life instead of 2. Neat.
Well, it's a bat. So, if you attack with 5 bats, you gain 5 life. And importantly, the thing that I really like about that, at least, is it's 5 instances of life gain, which matters a lot.
Bat God.
Bat God. You can go deep on bats, and you can go, really deep on bats. And you can do, basically, life gain shenanigans, like Soul Sisters. You can do kind of medium on bats with more heavy Soul Sisters and a little bit of that reanimation package. And then you can do a build that's more dedicated to the reanimation package that goes pretty much no bats. Which I don't know even how good any of those builds are.
I don't know. I need to see this deck in action to give it a fair rating. But if you want to just ask me off rip, it's like a 3, maybe a 4.
Isn't there a batter blossom in the set? Yes, there is a way to make bat tokens every single turn in the set. I'm forgetting what the name of that enchantment is. I believe the requirement is that you have to gain life to get the token. Let me see.
It is just Heliod Ballista deck. You're gaining life. There you go. It says gain life, therefore Heliod Ballista.
Let me see. Yeah, and yes. So it is Lunar Convocation. It is black and a white for an enchantment with, at the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, each opponent loses 1 life at the beginning of your end step. If you gained and lost life this turn, create a 1/1 bat, and you can pay 1 in a black, pay 2 life, draw a card. Which, that's a better greed for black-white decks specifically. It is okay. It's in-step trigger, so you can't do stuff with haste or skull clamping or whatever. So, and yes, yes, Heliod Ballista is definitely the thing you can do in this deck. I'm not very sold on this. I don't think it's worse than any of the other 4s here.
I don't either, but I don't think it can go above.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of reason to put it above that yet.
I said 4, and then I looked at the EDH rec page, and it's all the bats.
Yeah, the bats themselves are bad.
And man, do I just want to put it at a 3 just because a lot of decks are bats?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Honestly, I will not complain about putting Zoraline as a 3.
There we go.
Although I might ask if Kitza should be a 3 then, but I think Kitza at least does some combo stuff that gets there and encourages you to do it. Yeah, playing vampires with Timothar or any other black-white vampires commander, yeah. Alright. On to our next set of otters.
Otters.
Play the otter. Play the otter. Alright. So, Alania, Divergent Storm. 3 and is it for a 3/5 legendary creature, Otter Wizard. Whenever you cast a spell, if it's the first instant, the first sorcery, or the first otter spell other than Alania you have cast this turn, you may have target opponent draw a card. If you do, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Words. There's a lot of words.
Words.
Okay. Important wording distinction here. So, It's the first instant, the first sorcery, and the first otter. So you potentially can copy 3 spells in a turn.
Yes.
That's pretty good. Having target opponent draw a card. Why? Like, honestly, just at this cost, and given the quality of otters, why? Why do I have to give my opponent a card? It's fine.
It's okay.
5 mana is a really high casting cost for this start, and obviously you can do some storm stuff with this.
I have to give my opponent's card so to do it, though.
Yeah.
There's my big kicker for 4.
Alania being a Zur's Weirding deck in disguise. If you want to Zur's Weirding people in your Alania deck, by all means. I am not a fan of doing Zur's Weirding stuff just in general.
It's just... Man...
But, like... It do be stuff and things. It is instants and sorceries and otters. It did deliver on that part.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, looking at the quality, like, again, hey, my due diligence, how many otters are there in Magic? Let me just check. Blue-red, type, otter, and let's exclude the banned one. So, excluding the banned one, we have 18 otters, counting this commander.
Of which I would play 5 or 6 of them.
Coruscation Mage is our new, like, Gutter Snipe type card. I would definitely play that one in this deck. Harnester of Storms is pretty decent. I probably wouldn't play Frolicking Familiar. Like, as much as I like the Flying Wizard on a... Like, I cannot emphasize enough how adorable this card is. But, to everyone who's like, oh, you get to copy it, you've given your opponents 2 cards so that you can do an additional 1 damage and make another otter.
Yeah. It's just not good, guys.
Yeah, it's just so... No. It's just so no. There's some good cards in here. Like, overall, like, I'm actually very happy that Stormcatcher Inventory is a card that you get to play in this deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, new Goblin Electromancer just dropped. It's good.
I love seeing Flames of Anor being copied. This is good card. Good card's good.
Yeah, good, clean fun right there.
Yep.
But otherwise, yeah, the otters are just, like, okay. There's too many, like, generic Storm cards that you want to play to justify playing a bunch of the otters. I do think it's a 4. I don't think we've gone above a 5, even looking in the details. Or gone up to a 5, looking at the details. Not enough otters.
Yeah. And also, like, the downside of giving your opponent a card to copy something is so bad.
Yeah. Alright. And for our next trick.
More otter.
More otters! Alright. Bria Riptide Rogue. 2 and is it for a 3/3 legendary creature, otter rogue, with prowess. Other creatures you control have prowess, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. It's okay.
It gets a thumbs up for me, Jason.
It's just okay.
It gets a thumbs up, stamp of a 5.
I do not think this is a 5. I think
it's better.
I think it's a 4. It's okay. So here's my argument on this. We have something similar that I should mention, and we've run into the awkwardness of it. Adeliz, the Cinder Winds.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 mana 2/2 flying haste. It's a human wizard, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, wizard creatures you control get +1/+1. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the big benefit that Bria has over this is 2 things. 1, it doesn't shoehorn you into wizards. You can play with any number of creatures, right?
Yep.
And then the other thing is giving you that little bit of a blockable, which is relevant. But it's not a storm deck, which is definitely the better way of doing it. And the punchies are fine. Just kind of fine overall. This is one of those decks that really wants you to play with your token producers to go really wide to... Maybe this 5. I don't know. It just doesn't feel great to me. Because like it feels like you're going to run out of cards in hand so consistently with this type of deck. And you're not going to be able to push over the finish line because you're playing with mediocre creatures.
Man, we have two completely different thought processes on this deck.
Please, go ahead.
I think it's a 5. Like, typically how you play these decks is you play your token producers, and then you just play cantrips the deck. So you're never actually running out of cards. You're just constantly keeping 1 or 2 in hand. So
sure, until you hit that glut of lands.
Sure,
that does inevitably happen with these Izzet decks.
At that point, it is what it is. It's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and you just got to accept it. But you probably already dealt 10 to 20 damage to the table.
Okay, sure.
So,
okay, I guess relevant question: how does this compare to Balmor? Like, just to make sure we're getting our ranges here. Because I actually haven't checked to see where we evaluated Balmor, and if I was in the dark on Balmor, I would say 6, maybe 7.
I'm going to say Balmor's a 6, this is a 5, and the Wizards is like a 3 or a 4.
Yeah, I mean, we put the Wizards at a 3, which I think is about where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we put Balmor? We have Balmor too low. We have Balmor as a 4.
Yeah.
I think Balmor can at least be a 5. So we're saying, would we say Balmor is a 5 or is a 6?
I'd say Balmor is a 6. This is
Okay.
a 5.
Okay. All right. I will give the benefit of the doubt on that.
Yeah. Also, our token producers and cost reducers have gotten good, so...
Sure, they've gotten better. MDFC is helpful to this deck as well. Okay, sure. I will give it that. Then, time for squirrels?
Do we want to get the big one out of the way, or do we want to actually go through the set? Because we get to reevaluate a commander.
We do get to reevaluate a commander. So, let's... We'll save them for the end of it.
Okay.
Let's talk about the cards in this set. Or, well, new to this set. Let's talk Chamelia, the Seed Miser. 1 in Golgari for a 3/3 legendary creature, Squirrel Warlock with Menace. Other squirrels you control have Menace. Whenever you sacrifice 1 or more foods, create a 1/1 squirrel creature. Pay 2 and Forage to put a 1/1 counter on each squirrel you control. To forage, you exile 3 cards from your graveyard, or sacrifice a food.
Mm-hmm. Cat oven.
Yeah! Yeah, so I do love the cat oven component of this, and I do love the interaction with Chatterfang, which, of course, we will talk about later. You can do this as with a lot of sack loop stuff. I don't know how great we are at producing just food randomly. Oh, yeah, right, because this works with Artifact Sack Outlet plus Peregrine Took.
I was going to say Peregrine Took
makes this infinite as well. Yeah, that was the thing that was like... Because otherwise the commander is just kind of fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's...
It's like probably right at average or slightly above.
I think it does depend on how deep you go down the combo train. Which I think this commander kind of innately leans itself towards that, because... Honestly, I don't know if there's even enough like squirrel producers that people are deep on it. Well, when Peregrine Took is in 87% of decks. Okay.
Yep. And Witch's Oven is in 71% of decks, and Cauldron Familiar is in probably not enough, but we just have Oven.
37%. I mean, that's enough that I would consider it. It's not more likely than not to run the Cauldron Familiar. Scurry Oak is in 38% of decks, so people are like actually really deep on the like how can I abuse Peregrine Took side of this deck.
Yeah.
Okay, this was deeper down the combo route than I was expecting. There is a decent number of people who are just doing swirls. Like Scroll Sovereign is in 69% of decks.
Sorry.
You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, we have Chatterfang plus Pitiless Plunderer in here as well.
Oh, and then we have Nuka-Cola Vending Machine, which is really good. So thanks to
Okay.
Sora for shouting that out.
People have gone really deep on this. I wasn't expecting them to push this far into the combo side of things. I expected more squirrels, like actual squirrels. Man, that I mean, baseline start is a 6. The debate is higher. I kind of want to do 6.
I want to do a 6-7 split.
Yeah, I feel like the percentage of people who are just playing squirrels, like yes, they're doing the synergies, but they're like also I threw in 13 squirrels because they're cute. Like also, we'll let you know now, if you ever play a squirrel deck against me, you are absolutely allowed to put Earl Squirrel in your deck. Just saying. This... Yeah, I feel like I have to 6-7 split this.
Yep.
If not even 6-8, because, like, man, it goes deep on it. But I think 6-7's... Yeah, that's probably about right. I seriously was not expecting so many people to go down. Yeah, I'm honestly just kind of baffled by that. Like, it's just, it seemed like the type of card where people wouldn't go super deep down it, but they did.
Yep. All right, Jason. Face Commander alert. Hazel of the Root Bloom to Golgari for a 3/5 legendary creature, Squirrel Druid. Hazel has tap, pay 2 life, tap X untapped tokens you control, add X mana in any combination of colors. At the beginning of your end step, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. If that token is a squirrel, instead you create 2 token copies of it.
It's decent.
It's okay.
Yeah. The requirement of having tokens in play before your commander actually does literally anything is a downside.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, we are in green-black, so...
Fortunately...
Woohoo, getting tokens. How difficult.
Fortunately, we do just be making the tokens.
Now, I would also like to point out that this EDH rec page looks almost the fucking same as the last one.
Yeah.
Like, we have less food, but we still have all of the prevalent combo pieces. We have all that stuff. I do think the other commander is slightly better for, like, if you gave it literally the same 99, just because there's more ways of Chamelia turning stuff into infinite.
Yep.
Whereas Hazel is, like, Hazel's the type of deck where you're just casually, like keep in mind that the end step trigger here is functionally populate, and if it's a squirrel, populate 2.
Yep.
And squirrel tokens are, I think squirrel tokens are only ever 1/1s, right?
Yes. There's no bigger squirrels.
Yeah, you'd have to make a token copy of something to do that, which you can do. Like, I'm trying to blank on the name of it.
Little known card that every modern player hates.
Oh, good old Springheart and Tuco. I wasn't even thinking about Springheart and Tuco. I was genuinely just thinking of Mimic that. Because that's some old tech that I haven't seen in a while. And it actually makes sense here.
You probably play both of them.
Yeah. Like, not super mana intensive. You can also, like, if you just do, like, the go white tokens thing into Crater Hoof, although tapping all of your tokens and then casting the Crater Hoof is not exactly where we want to be.
Saw in half. Ooh.
You do get to saw in half.
Ooh.
Token copies of Grey Merchant of Asphodel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is some game that I wasn't properly considering before.
No, Jason. What if I make token copies of Academy Manufacturer?
Stop it. Get some help. That table will get run over very quickly. Yeah, honestly, this is probably a little bit better than I was giving it credit, but I'm not sure still.
I think it gets up to a 5.
Oh, absolutely. I think it gets to a 5. I was debating whether it goes higher. If we're like 5 is good, then 5 is good.
5 is good for me.
5 is good, maybe higher. I think that works. Okay, more squirrels.
More squirrel.
It's the Acorn-Gang.
Mm-hmm.
So, Acorn-Gang is a 3 Engolgari for a 5/5 legendary creature squirrel warrior with menace, trample, reach. Squirrels you control have tap. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. And whenever one or more squirrels you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Alright, scales up. We've seen this song and dance before.
Yep.
It's good. It hits stuff. It itself does not have vigilance, which is, I mean, not the worst. Like,
it's okay.
Yeah, it's got double evasion with menace and trample. This is actual factual squirrels. Like, hi, I want to literally beat you down with squirrels. And the commander is decent at it. At a 5 cost for this effect. I mean, realistically, we get this effect at 3 to 4 mana all the time. 5 mana is a little overcosted.
I was gonna say this was like
It
had me going till it said that it was 5 mana instead of 3 or 4.
I mean, if you made this a 4, like, if you made this 4 costed and changed the stats to just 4/4, like, I'd be great squirrels. Absolutely fantastic squirrels commander. Squirrels themselves, not the best archetype, so it's going to lose a lot here because of the support, honestly, because I think it is a competent commander with better squirrels.
Yeah.
My due diligence time. How many squirrels are there?
More than you would think.
We have a total of 30 squirrels in all of Magic, not counting things that make squirrel tokens. There are a few of those, like, what's the name of that hermit?
Oh, Deep Forest Hermit. I have it
Deep
on
Forest Hermit. Like, that, for example, is another thing that makes squirrels.
Yep.
So you got some stuff. Well, some of the squirrels are white creatures, so we don't get to work with those, but it's only 2 of them. There's not enough squirrels for the aggro plan.
No.
And the quality of squirrels is a little low.
Yeah, of the 28, I think you can reasonably play about 12. So it's just not enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's honestly about a rough, like, an accurate estimate as well.
Your high is like way up there, and then everything else drags it back down to here.
Yeah, because, like, the card is a competent card. Like, if we just had this as a commander with, if this was an Elves commander, right? Let's say this was an Elves commander. This deck would probably be 7/8. Pretty far up, pretty close to that, because, like, you can ramp into this very well. You make your Elves better at combat, which is something that Elves are always happy to get a little bit of a buff in, because that's, like, the area they're a little lacking in of what they do. And they're not bad at that. But it was just a warrior. And the Typhritin was warrior instead. Green-black warriors? I play Nagila, so I'm actually, like, legitimately considering what would that look like. it would look okay, because the number of warriors that you would actively want to play is not that much better than what you're getting out of the squirrels, honestly. Because the squirrels at least have like a cohesive identity, or well, a semi-cohesive identity of the combination of make it a token, go into wide, sacrifice it to food. So it's fine. Instantly gets a point with their old squirrel in the deck. But you don't get that. So it's probably a 4.
It's probably
maybe a 3.
It's probably a 4.
Yeah, I feel like 4 is the safe bet on it.
I still feel like it's better than just straight bats.
Yes. I will give that. It definitely feels better than bats for me. And now, Kelvin, alright, see you later, man.
See you, Kelvin.
Pleasure having you here. Alright. Do we want to talk about more squirrels, or do we want to actually get to the last green-black commander?
Nah, we'll tease them. It's time for more squirrels.
More squirrels? Alright. So let's talk about Chatterdad here.
Chatterdad.
So Chatterfang just got a significant change to this deck. Because it just got a million more squirrels.
Yep.
And we hadn't evaluated it again since we had gotten to...
We haven't evaluated this card in a while, by the way.
No, we don't even have a date since its last... we didn't even have a date for its last evaluation date. It's been probably close to 2 years since we talked about Chatterfang.
Mm-hmm.
And really importantly, it got Worn Soul Trader.
Yes.
Like, I really need to point out that this Worn Soul Trader is another infinite outlet for Chatterfang. Worn Soul Trader plus Chatterfang is infinite squirrels.
And
infinite treasures.
Mana. It's infinite mana.
Yeah, it's infinite mana, sorry. Or at least mana equal to your life total.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot. You got a lot of squirrels to work with, so if you are going to play this as just the generic squirrels deck, it got better. And we didn't evaluate this with Peregrine Took as well.
Which is also, as it turns out, really good with this commander.
Correct. This commander has just gotten a lot of upgrades over the last couple of years. Like, just the generic token strategy versus the generic squirrel strategy. Like, the generic squirrel strategy has gotten better. Which, not much better, but it's no longer, like, the primary thing people are doing. Because when we evaluated this, I'm pretty sure squirrels were still a pretty high priority for people. And to be fair, squirrels are still... 70% are playing Squirrel's Nest, and... there's still a lot of squirrels, actually.
There's still enough squirrels, but it's like, the squirrel strategy has gotten a lot better.
Yeah. At least, when you give it the busted commander that is Chatterfang. Alright, so previous rating for Chatterfang was a 6-9 split.
Nice.
It's very nice. I think we can bring that up to a 7-9 or an 8-9.
I think it's an 8-9. Every time I play against this card, it's just like, oh man. Wait, yeah, I keep forgetting just how insane Chatterfang is.
Mm-hmm.
Until you consistently play against it.
Yeah. Chatterfang's really good. Alright. We're good there. Are we ready to move on to one of the weirdest commanders in this set?
Hello, welcome to our Lord and Savior. It better be in 1,000,000,000 fucking % of the decks here. It's not. Jason, I'm upset.
What are you looking for?
There it is. That's only
the Bane of Progress.
Our Lord and Savior, Bane of Progress. For all of the green players. Our beloved.
Alright, so... Ygra, Eater of All. 3 green-black for a 6/6 legendary creature elemental cat. With Ward, sacrifice a food. Other creatures are food artifacts in addition to their other types and have pay 2 mana, tap, sacrifice, you gain 3 life. Food. They're foods. And whenever a food is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put 2 counters on Ygra, Eater of All. 2 1/1 counters on Ygra.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I am not the most impressed with Ygra as, like, what you get for doing all of this. But just casually turning all of your opponent's things into artifacts is the interesting thing. And now we can do weird stuff, because honestly, this card's just weird.
As I
The deck's
said,
it's just so weird.
Heart Locket opening up Bane of Progress, my beloved.
Yeah, if you do the Bane of Progress thing with Ygra, everyone's sad. Oh god, Manglehorn in this deck. Yeah, that's...
Oh, Jason, do you
Well,
know this little known stacks piece called Collector Oof?
I mean, I do. I mean, all you're doing is shutting down the abilities of all creatures and artifacts, but
We are playing vanilla the game, baby.
we're playing vanilla.game and I have a 6/6. Get over it, nerd. Honestly, this commander is very much stuff and things to me.
Yep. That's
It's
good.
kind of like a pile of nonsense with some weird stuff going on.
I think it's good stuff and things.
It's decent overall. Is it, like, actively good, or is it just kind of like... It does a thing that's, like, has very good novelty to it, and it's cool?
I think it's a little more actively good, but it's definitely got the novelty side in spades.
Yeah. I actually do wonder. Okay, so with the cat, right? Sacrifice a food, return the cat to play. The cat's a food. You sacrifice it to some artifact sack outlet or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't immediately get a food from your thing dying, right?
You play a
On a
token.
closed loop.
I mean, you play a token producer for when something
You
dies.
make any token producer that does it, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Ygra plus Cauldron Familiar plus thing that makes token on death plus sack outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Plus thing that care. Well, no, because the Cauldron Familiar itself kills. So,
Yep.
Okay.
You disassemble...
That is actively a way to kill things, yeah.
Also, all these very efficient artifact and enchantment board wipes that we get to play. Like, extremely efficient artifact and enchantment board wipes we get to play.
What is FTK? For Sora, what is FTK for this acronym? Because I get, like, Ygra, Nuka-Cola Machine, and, a sack thing. Feasting Troll King. Does Feasting Troll King... Feasting Troll King requires 3 foods to come back, right? And it only produces food if you cast it from hand, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, if you cast it from hand, make the 3.
3 foods. So... What does the Nuka-Cola vending machine come in? Hold on.
Whenever... Oh, he had vending machine. They had vending machine misworded?
Whenever you sacrifice some food, make a tap to treasure token.
They had it misworded, so...
I see. Well, I mean... It does work if you get... Well, no, it doesn't immediately work, but it starts getting closer when you add in the other layering effects that we get from Peregrine Took and...
Mm-hmm.
I'm blanking on Academy Manufacturer for some reason. Yeah, I think there's good enough stuff here. It is definitely a pile of synergy that definitely feels like stuff and things, and maybe it does something probably good enough to get to be an average deck.
Yeah.
Like, that fair?
It's got some sauce.
Yeah, it is... It is Pylo synergy.
It is so much Pylo synergy that it's like... We could be putting this at a 5 and be completely under. And we could put this at a 5 and be completely over. It goes one of 2 ways.
Yeah, it could honestly go either way. I think putting it at average is, well, average and safe.
Safe. It's safe.
Yeah, it makes it all better. Yeah, that's true. All right,
Nice.
how much more do we got? Not a lot more. Okay. I don't think it's going to take too long to talk about Mabel.
Nope.
All right, so Mabel, heir to Cragflame. 1 red-white for a 3/3 legendary creature, mouse soldier. Other mice you control get +1/+1, and when she enters, create Cragflame, a legendary colorless equipment artifact token with equipped creature gets +1/+1, has vigilance, trample, haste, and the artifact has equipped too. It's mice.
It's mice.
Mice are not good.
Mice are really bad.
It's mice and equipment, right? And the equipment that we get here is okay.
Yeah.
Because 2 to equip is not great.
Unfortunately, we just got a creature with, get this, the same mana cost, but as a 2/2, finds a significantly better piece of equipment, and then also draws cards whenever they connect.
Yeah.
And we had them at like a 4.
Ooh.
It's like a 4 or a 5.
Which one's this again? For 2 mana, just Jorkadine?
No, 3 mana, same exact casting cost.
Oh, okay.
From Assassin's Creed.
Oh, the Assassin's Creed one. Yeah, okay, yeah. Now I'm on the same page as you. And just, doing my due diligence, because these are all a bunch of creature types that aren't super supported. There are a total of 21 mice that we could play in this deck.
Of which we're playing 5 of them. If that. One of them being our commander. We're playing 5 of them.
I'm gonna be real with you, Chief.
I count 4 here, and then my commander. That's 5.
I don't know if I want to play the cheeky household mouse. The cheeky house mouse. I don't know if I want to play Raging Battle Mouse.
No, you probably want to play Raging Battle Mouse.
I mean...
It is a cost reducer. Yeah, I know. I know, Jason. I know. You still probably play it.
Okay. Let's talk baseline 3/3. Let's ignore that first line of text.
Mm-hmm.
How good is baseline 3/3 enters the battlefield, makes an equipment that we are okay to do stuff with?
Meh. At best.
Meh at best. Sounds 3. Is this 2? It does trigger a generic equipment support. It gives us an artifact.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for merits.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything, though.
Equipment gives haste?
Meaning, but like, why would I... It's just like 3 mana, 3/3, make an equipment that's okay is just not good.
It's legendary, so you can't make multiple of it. Yeah, see, that's actually one of the things I was going to bring up, is the fact that it is a legendary equipment, so we can't get more.
Yeah.
There's no real reason for us to need more than one, though. I think this walks the line into a 2.
Yeah.
I think it's the upper end of a 2. It's like the very upper end of a 2.
Yep.
The fact that we have a first line of text that actually baits you into doing something bad is actually what kind of drags it down for me.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a yikes. That's such a yikes.
You know it's not a yikes, though.
The next commanders?
Frogs?
Frogs! There are so many frogs.
Org.
I don't even really like frogs in real life, but you know what?
I like
These
them in
frogs,
Magic.
they hop. They bounce. I like frogs. Alright. Clement the Worrywart. 1 in Simic for a 3/3 legendary creature, Frog Druid, with Vigilance. Whenever Clement or another creature you control enters the battlefield, return up to 1 target creature you control with lesser mana value to its owner's hand, and frogs you control have tap to add either a a green or a blue. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell. frog. Great art.
Best art in the set. Just flat out.
Okay, so the lesser creature type thing is lesser mana value creature is a little annoying to me.
Mm-hmm. It means that we don't get to go infinite.
Correct. It does unfortunately mean, at least not without cost reducers, because like there's stuff you can do with Peregrine Drake and like a mana war effect that bounces a creature to your hand.
Sure.
So like, or Shrieking Drake. There you go. You just do so much Shrieking Drake. This is fine. It's pile of creatures. It is probably actually doing something that is not good for you to actively be removing your creatures from play consistently.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not using the ability, you functionally just giving yourself a 3-mana dork in the command zone because you're not going to play that many frogs. Due diligence. How many frogs?
Surprisingly more than you would think that there is.
Wait, there's a long history of frogs. There are 49 frogs.
Mm-hmm.
That is the most we have seen of a random creature type, and we get to play Chubtoad. Good old Chubtoad and Bloated Toad. But Bloated Toad has protection from blue.
Huh.
A shame, really.
Ain't that a kick in the butt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got the Dowerport Mage that gives us some card draw as well. That's kind of useful.
I'm just showing Chad one very particular card here that I'm going on the record of. This should be in more of the decks.
I don't care. Not it was a problem. Yes, we're good.
We done been knew that.
I do think this deck baits you a little bit into doing things that are not optimal for your deck.
It wants me to play frogs.
It does want you to play frogs, which honestly, frogs are not the worst part of this.
Yeah.
Potentially the worst part of this is that it's encouraging you to force yourself to walk yourself into a situation where you're returning creatures to your hand every turn as opposed to actively developing your board and winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of just takes the Simic approach of, I'll get there when I get there, right? But, you can only play so many frogs. Like, you're not... Most Simic decks, when they just spin their wheels, still at least add something to the board.
Yeah, this is
Whereas Clement will
removing something from the board.
Yeah, a lot of the time, well, at least, you're only adding a big creature, right? I'm trading up, so to speak, but not trading that much, right?
Yeah.
I think this puts it into the 4 category, because there's only so bad that Simic Ramp with frogs can do.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I think it does bait you into doing something that is suboptimal for your deck, though, even though I love that idea. See this as an Allurin deck of sorts? Yes, actually, I do think Allurin is an angle that you can take this deck, and it'd be quite good. For people unfamiliar with Allurin's a 4-mana enchantment that makes it so that you can play... Any player can play creature spells with mana value 3 or less, as though they had flash, and without paying their mana cost.
I'm sorry, I just heard a CDH podcast absolutely trashing the fucking Allurin. It's so funny that we're talking about it right now.
Well, that's because Allurin's not a good card to play in CDH. Well, we're in casual Commander, baby.
People keep trying to make it happen.
Oh.
Sorry.
To all of my funny. CDH players who keep trying to make Allurin happen, stop. That is not the card you want to be trying to break. That card not good. Anyway, Clement here. Yeah, I think it gets the 4, though.
It's a 4. Anyways.
What's the next thing? We get to talk about cool frogs? No, we get to talk about rats.
Rats.
More rats.
Rats. Wick, the World Mind.
I think that's how you pronounce that.
3 and a black for a 2/4 legendary creature or rat warlock. Whenever Wick or another rat you control enters, create a 1/1 black snail creature token if you don't control a snail. Otherwise, put a 1/1 counter on a snail you control.
Mm-hmm.
Grixis sack a snail. Wick deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to each opponent, then draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power. What is a mixed snail?
Tasty.
I understand yummy, but like...
Grixis version of the Kamigawa guy. That ninja guy from Kamigawa? I'm not sure about the ninja guy.
Oh, the one that makes the toad on enchantments.
Yeah. Kaminari or whatever its name is.
Yeah.
This is just a way for you to put the red-black rats and the blue-black rats into one deck. And that's okay.
Sure.
It's certainly not a good deck, though. Yeah, do we have like a great way of making a bunch of rats and then I will acknowledge that it's not good, right, to say, hey, every rat you control is stapled with 3 mana, draw a card, deal 1 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's not really a great state to be in. This is also one of the decks that, like, as much as we're doing rats, hello, Torian Muller, I was about to say, this is like changeling.deck for me.
Yeah. This is
like, I really want
rats.
changelings in this deck.
Oh, this commander's just so uninspiring. It was so close to glory. If this was just a rat, we'd be in business, buddy.
Yeah, sack a rat, do the thing. I would be more interested in that. And it wouldn't be broken or anything, because this is still a sacrifice cost of Grixis, which is a real... It's a fling deck.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can do it as a fling deck, although I don't really see much reason to. Because, like, compared to, like, Marchesa, for example, like, you can play Marchesa as a fling deck, and it makes sense. This is, like, I don't want to fling my squirrel, I do want to fling my scroll, but I want to do it by paying Grixis.
Yeah, I don't want to actually factually fling it.
Yeah. It's a lot of hoops for a decent effect, but it's a lot of hoops.
It's
somewhere 3 to 4 for me.
Many hoops.
Yeah, I think it gets to 3. Yeah, we can do better. We can do better. We need more snails, you know?
Alright, Jason, is it time to cook with gas?
Oh.
It should be Naya time, right?
Oh, no, yeah, it's Naya time. Oh, yeah, we're cooking with gas.
We're cooking with gas, buddy.
Take us home, buddy.
Alright, we got Baylen, the Haymaker. Naya, 4/3, Rabbit Warrior. Tap 2 untapped tokens you control. Add 1 mana of any color. Tap 3 untapped tokens you control. Draw a card. And then tap 4 untapped tokens you control. Put 3 1/1 counters on Baylen. It gains trample until end of turn. Most notably, this does not say creature tokens. This also incredibly easily wins you the game with Halo Fountain. All right, Jason, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so let's get into the EDA trick on this, because this is real quick. The thing I want to check. We've gotten a lot better at making some tokens recently with things like Ocelot Pride and Nintuko, Spree Tart Nintuko. The one card I am particularly looking... I see the Halo Fountain here, so yeah, I'm a little surprised that that's here so quickly, but not that surprised by it. Alright, where is our boy Dockside Extortionist? Alright.
He is priced out of being in 100% of decks, Jason.
Correct. I know this is nonsense and nothing surprising, but hey, I hear this Dockside Extortionist card is real good. This is a way of doing some really dumb things with Dockside, because Dockside now produces mana of any color without sacrificing the treasures, and also does card draw and pressure to your opponents. There was some talks of this for CDH, and I think this can get to CDH, and I don't think we're going to have to evaluate the CDH decks, because I don't think they're going to be a significant enough portion. But one of the benefits that people were talking about for this deck is that you can do Dockside loops while also playing Collector Oof in the deck. Because
Yep.
previously you weren't able to. But now if your Dockside is able to do... For most Dockside loops, you need at least 4 treasures. So if your Dockside is producing 8 treasures, now you're able to go infinite with it, which is incredible. Also, Wildfire Awakener in this deck is hot. God, I love that. Yeah, when talking from like a pure tokens perspective, I can't think of another Naya token set that just... Well, okay, Jetmir kills people almost as good as this does.
I was going to say, Jetmir, I think, kills people. Still faster. But...
Yeah, and you don't have to go dedicated to tokens, whereas this is a little bit shoehorned into that. But Jetmir's big problem is no card draw.
Yep.
Like, you get board wiped and you're dead, whereas this can sit there and go, well, good thing all of my tokens were food. Like...
All of my tokens for food. Oh, hey, by the way, I just... At somebody's end-step, or the end-step right before my turn, I just tap all my tokens to draw as many cards as I can.
Yeah, exactly. Gives you a lot of play patterns. A lot of reactive play patterns, things with Smothering Tithe, and obviously all of our big treasure producers, Charismatic Conqueror giving you a lot of things you can do as well. I think this is a deck that the second it hits the table, players have to warp their play pattern around it.
Yes. Also...
Honestly, I like the original art more.
I like the original... This is so good, though. The art in
I
this
can't
set's
look
insane.
at it. I can't look at it and not think Cinderace, and I don't want to think about Cinderace. Got a punchy hard, cool story, yeah. The modality of this is pretty good. It is a little costly to do the 3/1/1 counters on this because 4 tokens is quite a bit. But this does mean that you can go wide and tall on the same commander, and commander damage is pretty viable at 3 mana.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, I don't know who at WotC has such a hard-on for Naya decks, but dear God, they keep giving them bangers. Okay, how high up is this?
Well, it's the best card we've evaluated so far.
Yes. Baseline's 8 for me, at least.
I almost want to go 9.
I think I want to give it the 9. I think Baylen gets that 9. I do think it squeaks in there. Mild pun intended. And it's just extremely, it's just tokens. Whatever you want to do with tokens.
Yeah, this card is just so good.
Really good.
So remember how I said I've played against 3 commanders? This is one of them.
Oh. What turn did you die on?
It was like turn 5.
Oh, wow! 6/8? I think this is way higher than a 6.
This is like an 8/8.
Yeah, 8 or 9 is where I think, and I do think it might be an 8, but I'm willing to say a 9.
Yep.
I'll at least put in the notes that it might be an 8.
Yeah, this card's nuts. The end. End of story. Yeah. This card is insane.
Now we get to talk about the Bant commanders in the set, and for once I'm happy to talk about Bant. And we gotta start with the broken one. You want to do the not broken one first?
Yeah, let's do the non-broken one first, because I accidentally grabbed it.
Yeah, sure. Alright. I mean, okay. So, Mr. Foxglove, I love you. Alright, so 2 in Bant for a 3/5 legendary creature, Fox Rogue, with lifelink. Whenever Mr. Foxglove attacks, draw cards equal to the number of cards in defending player's hand minus the number of cards in your hand. If you didn't draw cards this way, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield.
Okay, so Jason, I've heard Sneak and Show is pretty good.
It is pretty good.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we were on the same page there.
So this is a commander I'm actually actively brewing, and I am not 100% sure how I want to build this deck, because there's a lot of different ways you can take this, and it depends on how you view the velocity of the situation.
Sora.
Put it into play attacking? Let's be fair, okay?
Wait,
let's be fair.
If you put a Blightsteel Colossus into play attacking, in Bant...
Yeah, bit much in it. Okay, so here, and y'all can help me solve this brewing problem, because I am actively having a problem with this commander. Not in the sense of like it's busted or like I don't know how to do it. It's there's some highs and some lows, and I'm trying to figure out how to make this feel good while also accelerating what the deck wants to do, right? So my current acting theory on Mr. Foxglove is to play this as a very dedicated ramp strategy, where the goal is to drop Foxglove on turn 2, or not turn 2, on turn 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, one drop mana dork, one drop mana dork, one drop mana dork, turn 3, or play Mr. Foxglove, doesn't matter if you have another thing in hand to play. Ideally, it is good if you do, though. This card is slow. A little, but
A
not the
little
worst.
bit.
You can play it two big ways you can try to do this. One, which is, I'm going to make the first swing to get as many cards in my hand as possible. Whoever's drawing cards at the table, I'm going to fuel you. Whoever is doing, just the blue deck at the table trying to get a whole bunch of big spells, I'm just going to be faster than you and draw as many cards as I can. And then you pivot into, okay, I have a big thing in my hand, time to drop it. And then I'll go and ramp. And then alternate doing that, right? Which is pretty decent. The frog was turned to the fox. Yeah. But the downside of that is that it's not the most consistent, and you have to expose your commander every time, but I think it's okay. Like, if you're playing a dedicated ramp strategy, if you manage to trade with your 3/5 commander, which you might do,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's not unreasonable to do. I think you'll be able to attack pretty consistently with Mr. Foxglove without too much need for support. You still aren't always drawing a lot of cards, and you're very dependent on what your opponents are doing, which is iffy. But that said,
Yeah,
that's just kind of good.
It's still pretty good.
Yeah. Even considering that, I still feel like Foxglove is at least an average deck. I'm not sure how much it's average or higher. I'm just not sure if it even like has the potential to breach a 6, for example, despite the fact that it can draw a lot of cards.
I think I don't know. It's so hard because it's just,
yeah, I know, right?
It's like one turn too slow to be a 6 for me, but it has the potential to do it, which is like,
I mean, if you have a commander that's on attack, draw 3 cards, right?
it's really good.
Right, and the thing it's asking you to do is just dump your hand and then play free interaction and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just spew off spells whenever you can. Play effects that get extra lands out of your hand so you don't have too many cards stuck in it. Or play dedicated discard outlets. Waiting a turn with a 5-mana commander never feels good. Especially one not built in with protection, but after one death it costs 7. Okay, but also we're in Bant.
Yeah, you're perfectly
green ramp,
okay with it.
Blue counter spells, white protection. That's the thing I felt like, if you're playing free spells in your deck, which not everyone's going to do, I understand that. But I think this is like an excellent example where Fierce Guardianship, like, oh my god, is this a good Fierce Guardianship deck? The Galta. Yeah, some of the creatures that they're show and telling in are also funny. Because that was the other thing I was getting at, was like, tutors in this deck are super weird.
Yep.
Like, how you utilize tutors, very dynamic play patterns. Hard to figure out. Every game's going to be very different, despite playing kind of the same every time.
Yep.
Which is such a weird commander, and I don't know if that's good beyond being at least average.
Like I said, Sneak and Show's good. I think just good enough to get a 5. The Bant deck wants me to draw cards and cheat in big things.
Mm-hmm. Kodama of the East Street sounds pretty good with the deck. I think Kodama of the East Street's fine with the deck. Not 100% sure, though. Like, again, this is a deck that I'm actively working on right now, and I'm not sure how I feel about win cons and things like that in the deck. Like, I don't think this is like a great hoof deck, for example, but it's not a bad hoof deck. It's weird. Do we do the group hug, or do we do the better one?
No, we'll save the best one for last.
All right, time for group hugs.
Group hug.
Miss Bumbleflower. Oh, yeah, you can go for it.
Okay, we got 1 in Bant for a 1/5 legendary creature, Rabbit Citizen. Miss Bumbleflower has Vigilance. Whenever you cast a spell, target opponent draws a card. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature. It gains flying until end of turn. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, you draw 2 cards. As Sora has pointed out in the chat, this forces the draw.
Yes.
So get your Smothering Tides, get your freaking Consecrated Sphinxes in here. Have yourself the best time.
Okay, so let's get into the EDH record this, please, because here's the thing about Bumbleflower. We'll talk about this time and time again. If you are playing a dedicated group hug deck with the intention of purely relying on your own politics to get ahead of your opponents and winning the game, you're gonna lose. Like, the better the pods get, the less they're gonna let you do your thing. You're gonna lose.
Mm-hmm.
And again, reminder for Zur Scale is the assumption that we're trying to win.
Yep.
Because we can't give you an honest evaluation if you're not trying to win. That said, I have to see how much of the CDH meta has gotten a hold of this yet, because I already know there are CDH players brewing it. The reason being that you just don't play your commander at all. You just play your deck without your commander playing a generic pile until you are ready to go infinite with Food Chain.
Yep. Not enough for it to matter, Jason, is the answer.
Yeah. I don't think it's enough. And I honestly don't want it to be enough, because I find that whole deck kind of just a meme for the sake of being a meme, as opposed to, like, meaningful, you know? Honestly, the commander's kind of bad. Like,
yep.
If the thing was, oh, you just have an opponent put a counter on a creature, right? But you get to put you choose where the counter goes, right?
Yeah.
They get the card, you get to choose where the counter goes, the flying until end of turn. And then if you can get 2 cards every turn doing this.
Mm-hmm. You give your opponents 2 cards, you get 2 cards, you get 2 things with flying, and 2 1/1 counters on whatever creature you want.
Yeah, as somebody who has played a fair share of Brina the Demagogue, having you this attack trigger where if your opponents attack an opponent who has a higher life total, then, or at least doesn't have the highest life total, or the lowest life total, I should say, they get a card, but you get 2 1/1 counters, and if you do the attack, you get a card and the 1/1 counters. The card, giving the card away is not too bad when it's 1 card a turn. When it's 2 cards a turn, though, it's, 2 cards a turn just for you to get 2 cards.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't get to 2 cards, that's rough. I don't think this is this is not putting us into 0 territory, right? Where we're like, it's so bad we can't do anything to redeem it, right?
The thing is like, you can easily throw in 4 or 5 cards and ways of finding it, and it's a fine deck.
Yeah, there are ways to do this where you can get around the effects.
You can very easily break parity on this. So,
I wouldn't say easily. I think it's not difficult, but it's definitely not easy. So, and then you're also just playing Pile Bant. Because, like, we haven't even talked about what the actual cards in the deck are. Because so far, we're playing Group Hug, right? Like, what you see here is Group Hug.
Yeah, we're playing Quain. We're playing Savala. Those are Group Hug cards, right, Jason?
Right,
totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do I need to split this rating? Because
Yes.
there's enough people who are playing this as dedicated Group Hug that... The dedicated Group Hug is a 1.
Yep.
Right?
We're going to show it on the scale as what the non-dedicated Group Hug is.
Yeah. I think if you really go out of your way to make this commander work, I think you can do a 3 without question. 4 is questionable to me. I may give it a 1-4 split here.
I like putting it at a 4 just because it is a forced... You force people to do things. You're not
Yes.
giving them the choice.
Yes, the politics itself is some power to it. The politics is eek. And at least you can do things to force it so people can't draw more than one card in a turn, but if you're doing that, then, like, you're kind of defeating the purpose of your commander as well. Like, there's too many tensions here that I don't like.
How does that defeat your commander?
Because if you force yourself to not be able to draw more than one card in a turn...
Oh, yeah, sure.
which, that's what White's good at doing.
Yeah.
Blue only really has Narset for this.
Which should be in a lot... pretty much every one of these decks, and it's not.
Nah, because they're not group hug. That's not a group hug card. That's a I'm taking advantage of my commander card, which is not what people are trying to do.
So anyways, don't play this as group hug.
I mean, play what you want, but, like, if you're going for power, don't come to me and ask, oh, you put it as a 4 on this thing. Why are you giving it a 4 when it's clearly one of the worst decks you play? Because if you play it as group hug, I can't give you a good rating.
Just don't.
Narset is approved. It's gonna bust a Lurin open in the CDH scene. Stop it. Stop trying to play a Lurin. Don't you do it.
Alright. We put it off for too long. This card...
Helga.
Do we just... Okay, Jason, the real question, is it a 9 or is it a 10?
I don't think it's 10.
Okay.
I would put it somewhere in the 8 to 9 range. I don't think it hits the 10, though. But anyway, Helga. So, Bant for a 1/3 legendary creature, Frog Druid. Whenever you cast a creature's spell with mana value 4 or greater, you draw a card, gain a life, and put a 1/1 counter onto Helga, and then tap Helga to make X mana of any color, where X is Helga's power. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells with 4 mana value or greater, or creature spells with X in their mana cost. It's Bant Ramp! It's Bant Ramp. It's 4-cost Bant Ramp, 4-cost and higher. It's Hydras. It does just generic good stuff, and then you put the Chakram Retriever in the deck, and it goes ham. Yep. This is just fancier Cruelclaw.
No.
If by fancier you mean much better.
Significantly better. Not even
is
much
a
better.
Deck.
Significantly better.
So this is one of the decks we've had the pleasure of playing against multiple times. And it's just hard to play against. If you really lean into Helga's ability, like, you have to shut down Helga from turn 1.
Yeah, as Sammy's saying in the chat, because that's who plays it. If Sammy had tutors in the deck, it would win on turn 4 or 5 every game.
Okay. And that's unfortunately not, like, exaggerating. Because you turn 1 mana ramp, or mana dork, turn 2 Helga, turn 3 do a little bit of card draw, maybe get 2 or 3 creatures into play, and then turn 4 you actually just win the game with something like Ancestral Statue or other cards in the deck, which I guess is a relevant question of how much Ancestral Statue are we seeing at the moment. I don't think everyone's doing Ancestral Statue stuff. No. For those unfamiliar with Ancestral Statue, that's a 4-cost artifact creature that when it enters the battlefield, you have to return a creature to your hand. It can return itself, though. So if you have the ability to untap Helga every time you cast a spell with Chakram Retriever or with Intruder Alarm, then you're able to tap her for 4+ mana to replay the statue, which draws you a card, makes her larger, making more mana, and you draw through your whole deck. I think it is a commander that is a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle, but it's not like, it's not a 600-piece difficult jigsaw puzzle. It's the jigsaw puzzle that you give to 3-year-olds, and it's got 25 pieces. Like, get there.
Even then, it's like, it incentivizes you to just play good cards.
Yes, it does.
Like
no doubt.
you just play good cards.
Mm-hmm. You can win without the statue. It just makes the combo easier. Yeah.
Like, consistently, the way Sammy's got it built, this is no tutors whatsoever, and this is why I initially said 9 or a 10.
Yes.
Is because...
Yeah, I do also think that Sammy's not doing what everyone's doing, though, right?
Sure.
I think Sammy has a very well-built deck. I think it's worth noting that Chakram Retriever is only in 40% of the decks. I think that is, like, genuinely relevant to talk about, because Chakram Retriever is, like, the must-kill card of this set, or of this deck. For those unfamiliar with Chakram Retriever, it's 4 and a blue for a 2/4 Elemental Hound. It's got partner with another thing that you don't care about, but it says whenever you cast a spell during your turn, untap target creature. Because Helga's a massive mana dork, and drawing you cards, every 4-drop you cast now either nets you mana and draws you cards, or at least breaks even. So
probably breaks even, if not nets mana.
Right. And the deck does require you to play 4s and 5s. Like, if Helga is not in play, the deck is just decent big spells, right?
It's still Simic Ramp.
It is still... Yeah,
it's still Simic Ramp, let's be real.
Yeah, it's Simic Ramp. Intruder Alarm in 30% of decks, relevant to talk about as well. Cosmos Unsealing in 20%, which, I mean, that's fair. I don't think that's a necessary card in the deck, but I find it fun.
Think you need it.
Of the Beanstalk, that's in 24% of decks. Not 100% sure you need that one either, but I like it.
I still think this card is an absolute must-answer the turn it comes down.
Yes. I think that puts it... I don't think it puts it to the 10, but I do think it gets it at least the 8, and I'm more than happy to say a 9.
Yeah. I'm gonna
put it on par with Baylen, and I'm perfectly happy with that.
Yeah, you have to answer this card, and it's just, it comes down so fast. That's the thing. You go Mana Dork into this turn 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
You have to answer it turn 2, or else it's just...
Oops, I won.
You won the game on turn 4 or 5.
It's just a Nadu deck. Yeah. Not as much worse, though. Worse to play against, I should specify.
Yeah, there's a reason why this one's not getting banned, and Nadu probably is.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Nadu got banned in Commander for power level reasons, but I also would be kind of surprised because they just don't ban anything. Alright, so... How many more we got to go?
Not many.
I know we got
4. We got 4.
All right. So do we want to do teamer, our one teamer guy last, or do we want to do him next?
Man, this card's so weird though.
I have a lot to say on that card.
Yeah, I don't
have Jeskai stuff. Then?
I don't have nearly as much to say about the Jeskai stuff because they're just good.
We got Jeskai, Sultai, and teamer. Do I skip over teamer and go on to Jeskai?
Yep.
Leave the fool for last? Oh, right.
Arthur.
The thumbnail comes last. Alright, Arthur Marigold. Marigold Knight. 2 in Jeskai for a 4/5 legendary creature, Mouse Knight with haste whenever Arthur and at least one other creature attacks. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. You may put the rest on the bottom in a random order. Return that creature to its owner's hand at the end of combat. Alright, Winota at home. We said it. Alright, cool.
Okay, cool. We got it. We got the joke out of the way.
We got it out of the way. Let's talk about the serious benefits that come with playing blue.
Hello, Jeskai. Thank you for your new identity just being Boros, but we get to splash heuristic study.
Boros beats, but we get flicker. Yes. Thank you. Combat flicker is what I've been wanting out of Jeskai. Card's good. Like, genuinely, it's a good card. The requirement is a little annoying because, you can get your setup going and then someone board wipes you and you're like, well, there's no real reason for me to pay my 5-cost commander now. Which kind of sucks. But
that's probably not happening before this comes down.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, that's probably not happening.
Yeah, exactly. And there's cool stuff that you get to do with this. Obviously, the things we get to cheat in when we talk with Big Blue. We get to work with Hullbreaker Horror. We get to work with things like Agent of Treachery, Metamai. We get to work with the non-human things to put into play. So we actually get to work with the big creatures. Humans, typically not great at being big mana value spells. They're a little bit smaller in the mid-power territory.
Agent of Treachery is pretty...
That's a big one, though. But no, we get to drop Sun Titans on people. We get to drop Angels on people now.
We get to drop the sneaky Port Raiser on people.
Let me get a little cheeky port racer, you know.
Cheeky port razor.
I'm just gonna say, I feel pretty good if I get to slam a Gisela into my opponents.
But
Even
Jason,
for just a turn.
what if I get to slam one of the 3 ancient dragons into my opponent?
I feel pretty good about that. Not giving the things indestructible does hurt a little bit, but like it's fine. Honestly,
that's how we didn't make the mistake of Winota again.
There was Bellows, Purpose, Brown, Blooded, and Midomai? Yeah. Midomai the Ageless. That does and does not work. You need a way to put Midomai on top of your deck. Because Midomai just has the line of it can't attack during extra combats, so you have to put it into play tapped and attacking somehow. Perverse does not just put it into play tapped and attacking. But if you have a scroll rack, right? Arthur plus one other creature, so you can actually trigger Arthur with scroll rack and Midomai does actually go infinite.
Yes.
Works.
I'm just looking at
Nothing's
every
busted,
card
but it's good.
here. I'm just looking at every card.
Just having a good time?
I'm just having the best time.
Yeah, I think Arthur's genuinely, like, solid card. Not like, busted or anything, because there is the slight tension between wanting ETBs versus attacks triggers, or deals combat damage triggers with this commander. So that is, like, a small tension, and needing another creature and not giving them indestructible, relevant. But yeah, I think it's above average. Like, it squeaks into that above average for me.
Nice one.
I'm going to make that pun multiple times, and you cannot stop me. You actually have pretty good flexibility on the deck, too.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a little unfortunate that I just built a Jeskai Punchy stack.
You have room for more.
No, because my other Jeskai deck's going to be the next commander.
Yeah.
Xena, Valley's Voice, Jeskai for a 1/3, Bird Bard, Flying.
Good creature type.
Yep. Whenever they attack, or they get +X+0, where X is the number of creatures you can draw with base power 1. Mm-hmm. And then the important line of text is creature spells you cast have offering 2. Kicker make it. Yeah. Kicker make a 1/1 copy of it.
Yep. Hello, Dockside, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again.
Also, goated art.
Yes. Make it the tokens, make it the creatures, punch it with the commander. I don't need to say much more. Feels like a 5.
Yeah.
Honestly, like there are some like combo lines you can get into with if you're able to generate enough mana, but almost all of those combos are requiring Dockside, so okay, but is Zinnia the father of the offspring, or are you the player? I get around occasionally. But safety first, kids. So
this just incentivizes you to play good cards. That's all this deck does. Like,
yeah, it's just good creatures, good stuff.
6. Call it good. 6, 7.
I don't know if it's a 6. I think it's a 5, maybe. It is a 3-drop, which is the other nice thing to it.
It's a 3-drop, and like, I don't know, man. Just the kicker make a copy.
Yeah. The mana cost does get up there as well, but you can see the 6.
I don't know.
I'm not against it as 6.
I'm perfectly fine making a second Ocelot Pride for 3 mana.
You know, I'm a big fan of making extra Ocelot Prides. Like...
I'm perfectly fine making another Volatile Stormdrake for 4 mana. So...
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, there's just some good ETBs that you can get on low-costed creatures. I do, again, like, you know, looking at Recruiter of the Guard, for example. Recruiter of the Guard is a good card, and paying 5 mana... I guess, okay... I should also mention the downside of Zinnia. There is a piece of counterplay that I think is very relevant that we should bring up. Alright, so this is a really weird bit of rules text on Zinnia here. How Zinnia works with giving the spell Offspring. you pay the cost, you give the spell Offspring, but if you remove Zinnia
The spell no longer
before
has
the creature
offspring.
comes down, it no longer has Offspring and will no longer make the copy of it. So you can make someone use all of their mana, kill the Zinnia, and they get no reward for it. So I think that is a very important piece of tech that when people figure that out, that will make this commander significantly worse because you do have a serious opportunity for a blowout. But yeah, it's a weird bit of interaction. But that was something that I noticed in the release notes when I was reading through them.
Mm-hmm.
So still good. Really, that's a tiebreaker on whether it's a 5 or a 6 for me, and I could go either way on it.
I think it's a 6. Just
Think it gets there.
Doubling up creatures plus Panharmonicon plus Anointed Procession plus Mondrak plus insert your token doublers here.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I am going to put in the rules interaction where removing Zinnia in response to the creature spell removes Offspring. It does open up for some blowouts, so maybe a 5.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you want to go into the next one, I'll write that and read it off. We're good to go.
We got Glarb. It's Glarb. Calamity's Augur. Sultai. 2/4. Legendary creature. Frog, Wizard, Noble, Death Touch. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells with mana value 4 or greater from the top of your library. And then Glarb has tap to Surveil 2. Oh god, that art. Oh, that's genuinely not good.
What are you talking about? It's beautiful. Good old Glarb.
This isn't good enough to play all of the
I'm just gonna leave now.
Though, some Trekkie has said this is their new favorite chair commander.
Ooh.
Ooh.
This beats the Banana Man. Interesting. Okay. So, real talk, Glarb. Good card. Honestly.
Good. Just good.
Yeah, I don't have super strong notes. You get to play extra. If you can play an additional land, you can keep doing stuff from the top of your deck. The casting 4 mana cost spells from the top is very nice. Surveil 2. Honestly, I'm just really happy to see a legendary creature that actually says Surveil on it. Like, please, I need more of that. It's not bad if you play it with more frogs, which is something people are going to do innately, because this is the first Sultai Frog commander that we have to work with, and Sultai is the best color combination for frogs.
Yeah, like this one.
And that one.
And this one.
I'm a big fan of that one.
I'm a big fan of this one.
Mm-hmm. Huge fan. And if you just want to play it as like big stuff, Bravo in our Discord had built this as a Sea Monsters deck, which was perfectly reasonable. If you were building as an average, like, Sea Monsters as a whole is a below average card type to be working with. And Glarb was very respectable with it. AC good card. But yeah, I don't have super strong opinions on Glarb. I think it's at least average. And probably just average.
I think it's just average.
Yeah, I think it's good, though. I like them.
Alright, this disgusting Dat Boy, disgustingly powerful card that spins its wheels and probably oops into wins?
I need to get Ethan on the line. Because, flubs.
I know for a fact this got oopsed into a win.
Mm-hmm. So, just gonna let y'all know, I don't know if this is gonna be the game that we played, the one that oops us into a win for it. Flubs is one of the commanders that we have put into one of our set release videos. And apparently, Flubs outperformed. I don't know how well Flubs outperformed, but apparently, oopsie I win happened pretty easily.
Pretty easily.
On one of those games.
On, like, turn 4.
Was that early?
Yes. It
Oh God.
yeah, it was straight up that early.
Jesus.
That's with our set release restrictions.
Yeah. Let's read off Flubs here. Flubs the Fool. Teamer for a 0/5 legendary creature frog scout. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card if you have no cards in hand. Otherwise, discard a card. You name the Zur Scale to the Flub Scale.
No, we're not doing that.
Playing this alongside Ubamask. Yeah, so, okay. Let's get into it. The specific thing that I know that was apparently very good was how this interacted with Aerith Tormented Prophet. Aerith is one and is it for a 2/4 legendary creature, human wizard. If you would draw a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library instead. You may play those cards this turn. So apparently the issue, and I don't know the full details of what happened, right? But when you do a replacement effect here, instead of drawing a card with flubs, you were just exiling the top 2 cards of your deck. So every spell was functionally drawing 2. And it just went crazy. Somebody mentioned Ubamask, which has a similar thing. It's like if you would draw an additional card on your turn, you exile the top card of your deck instead, I think is what Ubamask does.
Mm-hmm.
If a player would draw a card, that player removes cards from the top of the deck instead. Each player may play cards he or she removes from the game with Ubamask this turn.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're going to have to go down all the way to the utility artifacts. And it's not even at the top of it. It's only in 14% of the decks. But it's probably a card that would go into if you're going heavy on the Storm Root. I really wish I knew exactly what was happening with this deck. Because I do not think I can give it a fair assessment.
See, he knows exactly where he's going. And exactly how he isn't getting there.
Yeah, Ubamask being symmetrical is really, really good. Yes, what about Prosper? Shared Fate with Flow? Yeah, Shared Fate works with this as well. I know that some people put this as, like, the lands route. Some people take this down the playing cards from graveyard route. Some people play this down the storm route. The fact that all 3 of those are things that you can do with this deck is really weird to me.
And they're all 3, or all 4, good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can play this as a madness deck. Like, it does a lot of cast from exile. That's at least one kind of, like, consistent thing that the deck ends up doing, despite the fact that the commander does not actually put anything into exile. Flubs. I don't know. What is this?
A 7 or an 8, value pile, call it good.
Like, I know the weaknesses of this deck, too, is the thing that kills me on it. Made a lot of janks about this, and I'm terrified. I feel obligated to play with bad cards like Time Sifter. Yeah. I mean, this deck plays plenty of bad cards, honestly.
But you could also just not.
I feel like I need a split rating on this one as well. And I feel like my notes for this one are going to be the meme with a dog just going, I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, because this could be like Wheels.deck as well. There's a lot of weird ways to build this commander.
Yeah,
I feel comfortable at least with the 6. I think that's fine. It's just so weird. Again, novelty versus good is always an important question.
Yeah, you have some decent discarding synergies that you can put in.
That you do.
To where it's not even a downside for Flubs' ability.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you can do the one of the things I was thinking about with this commander when before Ethan said he was going to build it, which of course he was, but I was thinking about how this would work with 0 mana artifacts. Could be a very, very weird like recall deck. Red dinosaur that cares about discard. I believe you're thinking of Surly Badgersaur. which, yes, does a whole bunch of different things depending on what you discard. You either get a counter on it, or you get a treasure, or it fights something, which is neat.
Yeah.
At least, for sure, you want the mana for a lot of this, but I mean, you're happy with the other outcomes. It's just such a weird...
It's so weird and inconsistent, but it's also consistent at the same time as being inconsistent, which just makes it strange.
It is certainly showing us that we are the fools. Like, what are we doing here? It's a 6 or 7. What is it?
I'm calling it a 7.
You're gonna go with 7? Okay.
I'm sticking to my guns here. It's teamer bullshit. Probably a 7.
Yeah, okay. I will get that, and also I am legitimately going to find the meme of the dog with "I have no idea what I am doing."
And then put a dash. It's teamer bullshit. Probably a 7. Quote Matt, 2024.
Yeah.
Consistency in its inconsistency. The perfect commander.
All right, and with that, that's the list.
Yep.
I am content with this list.
I like it.
Not a whole lot of like very strong, super buff. We have 2 9s, which is unusual because 9 is probably the rating we give the least.
Yes.
Like we give more 1s than we give 9s.
Yep.
So 2 9s is very strong. I'm very content with the 7s. All the 6s, like, they still feel like good decks to me. And even the 5s, like, I'm like, yeah, I'd be happy to play, like, any of these decks. Even the weaker commanders, I'm still sitting there going, like, well, okay, there's a lot of 4s that I would not want to play. Cruelclaw, I would like to play.
I'll meme with some Cruelclaw, Worldfire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be down. I would probably be down to play Visa and Clement at some point as well, because like those are just interesting decks to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so big on the otter, either of the 2 otters and the 4s, honestly.
No.
I am looking forward. I know somebody has built Zoraline, so I am actually like, I know Vren has it, for example. I'm actually genuinely interested in seeing how Zoraline plays, because I feel like we might be wrong. But like we have a consistently higher average than we normally do. Like we have very few low commanders. No, not very many 2s and 3s.
Wow, Jason! It's almost like they release a banger set and it just makes banger cards.
Damn, it's just a banger set all around. Also, the fact that Mabel's a 2 makes me real sad. I wish Mabel was better, honestly. Funny rat man, I'm excited to build.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll pull up a card. The Clement's good here. Like, I do kind of want to compare it to some of the other ones that we've done before. Because, like, Assassin's Creed, for example, oh boy. Assassin's Creed was like, how many things can we put in 2s and 3s? Like, legit. Where was it? Our average... Yeah, our most represented group in Assassin's Creed was 3s.
Assassin's Creed
and we
was
had
awful.
Oh god, we had 9 cards we put as 3s in Assassin's Creed. And then we had 8 more that we put as 2s. Assassin's Creed was bad.
That set was genuinely bad.
Yeah, and then by comparison, with Modern Horizons, we had a lot more that were in the upper tiers. Like, we have 5 cards that are 8+.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, we had a lot of, like, just solid cards that were pretty good. Maybe I might change some of my ratings of these things, because some of them maybe go down a little bit. Like, I don't know if Kudo's a 6. Kudo's probably a 5, but
yeah,
I still feel good about this. I like this.
I like it. It's quite good.
Mm-hmm.
This set's just really good. Really good art.
Yeah. Banger set. Cool design. Most Magic-y set that they've done in... Oh god, how long has it been? Like, like a traditional fantasy set with an original IP component to it. Because I'm not counting Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings was a Magic-y set, but
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings was Lord of the Rings. Oh man, it's been a while since we've had a set that feels like this.
Also, I'm upset that the next set that's following it up is Duskmourn.
That is a complete 180 from where we're at right now.
Yeah, we go from way up here to in terms of.
I'll give people, some people are big fans of like modern horror and are interested in that, and some people just really like diversity, like a unique take on Magic worlds. I know some people who absolutely can't stand Kamigawa Neon Dynasty because they don't like the cyberpunky aesthetic of it, whereas I loved it because I like that genre, and I like how it was represented in a fantasy setting. I will be curious to see how people will feel about the representation of modern horror in a fantasy setting. Fantasy. Big quotes on that. Yeah. I trust WotC enough to do well with their sets because, like, New Capenna was one of those sets that I was like, I don't think you're going to be able to convince me on that one. And New Capenna was one of my favorite sets of that year.
Yeah.
Despite its terrible limited environment.
Well, turns out 3 colors for literally everything you do is not a good way to build your limited environment.
Also, shield mechanics are not a fair mechanic for limited. Just going to say that.
Yeah.
Shield counters, not good. Yeah, you're not looking forward to Duskmourn, Trebi? Or Trekkie? Yeah, I mean, you will... Honestly, if they don't give us a Skeleton Commander in Duskmourn, then I think all hope is lost until we eventually return to Innistrad with enough shouting. Like you're just not going to get it until then.
Yeah. Good luck. That's all I gotta say is just good luck.
But anyway, that is everything that we have time for today. That is everything we are doing. Thank you all very much for watching this again, just about to go into the Wrinkly Brain podcast outro, which at this point I might as well do. But thank you all again for watching another episode of the Not Wrinkly Brain podcast. If you'd like to... Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. If you'd like to talk to us directly, you can join our Discord, where we talk about stuff like this all the time. You can get into Blooper decks with us, and you can play at our game nights, which we do every Saturday. If you're enjoying our regular content, our weekly videos, expect to see some Bloomburrow stuff for the next 2 weeks. We'll have some great decks for you to watch, and from what I've heard, great games. I'm really looking forward to them myself. And of course, if you want to support us financially, we have a Patreon. If you'd like to join, it gets you access to exclusive Discord perks and the ability to enter a raffle to make us play some random brew or an entire deck idea, depending on what you give us. So, thank you all again. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all have a great night. We'll see you next time.
Good night, guys.